Welcome back, fellow seekers of the shadows. You've tuned into Stories of Crime, the place where the veil between the mundane and the monstrous is brutally ripped away. Tonight, we aren't just reading a report. We are opening a file, marked top priority, tucked away in the darkest corner of the archives. We're going to step across that chalk line and peer into the void, where human nature meets its most terrifying extremes. In this hour, the street lights flicker, the shadows deepen, and the truth is often far more chilling than any fiction you could invent. Forget the heroes. Tonight, we focus on the villains. On the motives that curdle the blood, and the consequences that echo forever. So, dim the lights. Lock your doors. Take a deep, steadying breath, because once the story begins, there's no turning back. This is Stories of Crime. And the case we're unfolding tonight is Project Daedalus. The Hook. Here we are, at the very threshold of Project Daedalus, a journey unlike any other you have ever embarked upon. This particular module, aptly named The Hook, is not merely an introductory preamble or a gentle easing into a vast topic, it is, in essence, the very anchor meticulously designed to plunge you, the discerning listener, into the beating heart of an unfolding saga that promises to reshape your understanding of humanity's future. Our ultimate goal here is deceptively simple yet profoundly critical, to instantly capture your undivided attention by presenting the ultimate, undeniable stakes of Project Daedalus. This isn't about fostering a casual acquaintance with a new scientific or speculative concept, it's about forging an immediate, unshakable emotional and intellectual connection that compels you, with an irresistible force, to continue listening, to delve deeper, and to become utterly immersed in the intricate layers of this ambitious, potentially world-saving undertaking. Imagine, if you will, the grand curtain rising on a truly epic theatrical production. The vast theater darkens, a profound hush falls over the expectant audience, and then, before a single line is spoken or a single character appears, a solitary, powerful image or an evocative, resonant sound note strikes, seizing everyone's focus, pulling them into the narrative's gravitational field. Our hook must achieve that same instant, undeniable magnetic pull, drawing you into its orbit with an irresistible force, ensuring that from your very first moments with this audiobook, you understand that what you are about to experience is not just a story, but a profound reflection of humanity's most dire challenge and its most audacious, almost unimaginable, dream. It is a testament to our ingenuity, our desperation, and our enduring will to survive against all odds. Now, let us meticulously dissect the key points that will allow us to execute this crucial introductory phase masterfully. We'll delve into the nuanced art of delivering a truly gripping opening statement, one that doesn't just mention the survival of humanity but imbues it with maximum, visceral impact, making it resonate deep within your core. We will then examine the inherent, compelling power of posing a truly thought-provoking question, a query so profound that it delves into the very limits, both perceived and real, of space exploration, effectively broadening the narrative beyond immediate crisis to encompass grand philosophical inquiry and existential wonder. And critically, we will uncover the intricate techniques for establishing and maintaining an immersive and subtly suspenseful audio tone, a narrative current that doesn't just entertain but consistently sustains listener engagement, effortlessly carrying them through the entire, extensive 293-minute runtime of this profound, intricate, and ultimately hopeful journey. Each of these foundational elements works in perfect concert, much like the finely tuned instruments of a masterfully conducted orchestra, to produce a symphony of engagement that will resonate with you long after the final words of Project Daedalus have been spoken. Let us commence with our first crucial element, the masterful delivery of a gripping opening statement about the survival of humanity. The initial utterances a listener encounters are not merely isolated words strung together, they are, in essence, the genesis of an entire experience, the very first spark that either ignites an unstoppable inferno of interest or, tragically, allows it to flicker weakly and die out before it has even had a chance to truly begin. When we meticulously frame our narrative around the concept of the survival of humanity, we are not simply stating a high, important stake, we are invoking the ultimate, most fundamental stake, a concept universally understood, inherently revered, and deeply felt across every culture, every generation, and every individual conscience. This immediate invocation taps into a primal, almost instinctual, chord deep within every individual, resonate in. When the narrative stakes are elevated to the very survival of humanity itself, the listener intuitively, almost subconsciously, understands that they are not merely passive, detached observers, they are, in a profound and deeply personal sense, vicarious participants in a collective human drama of an unparalleled scale, a struggle that defines our very existence. This transcends the realm of detached academic discourse or scientific curiosity, it transforms instantly into an urgent, desperate quest that resonates on a deeply personal, soul-stirring level. We are evolutionarily hardwired to respond with heightened alertness and emotional intensity to narratives of survival, of heroism against seemingly impossible odds, and of the overcoming of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The terrifying, almost paralyzing prospect of losing everything, our collective history, our rich tapestry of culture, our entire future, our very place in the cosmos, when coupled with the fragile, almost ephemeral thread of hope, meticulously woven into the narrative's fabric, creates an emotional tension so profound and so captivating that it becomes virtually impossible to ignore. This deeply impactful setup triggers the immediate activation of our mirror neurons, those incredible neural structures that allow us to empathetically experience the crushing urgency and the immense, almost unbearable, weight of the situation, thereby rendering the cosmic scale of the story intensely personal and immediately relatable to our own lives and experiences. It speaks directly to our inherent sense of shared destiny, our collective responsibility, and the universal, almost primal human desire to witness our species not only endure but flourish and transcend against all conceivable adversities. This isn't just about a story being told, it's about tapping into the very core of what it means to be human, to face the terrifying abyss of extinction, and to rally every ounce of ingenuity and courage to fight for a future, any future, for generations yet unborn. For you, the astute and engaged listener, understanding this fundamental narrative principle is not merely an academic exercise in appreciating the mechanics of storytelling, but an absolutely crucial prerequisite for truly grasping the monumental scale, the intrinsic urgency, and the profound, existential significance of Project Daedalus itself. As you encounter the initial, powerful declarations about the overarching, species-level stakes, actively and consciously allow yourself to fully embrace and feel that profound, visceral sense of urgency. Take a deliberate moment to truly imagine the world as depicted in the opening moments, grappling with the dire, almost unimaginable consequences that are being described. How would you personally react in such an apocalyptic, defining scenario? What fundamental priorities would instinctively rise to the forefront of your consciousness, overshadowing all others? By engaging with this premise on a deeply emotional and empathetic level, you transcend the passive role of a mere recipient of information. You are, in essence, actively internalizing the central, undeniable driving force, the very raison d'être, behind this entire monumental endeavor. This is not about passive, background listening while your mind wanders, it is about active, engaged empathy, and profound intellectual commitment. Think of it as a resonant call to arms, an unequivocal summons to bear witness to what could be a pivotal, defining, and perhaps even miraculous moment in human history, even if its unfolding is, for now, meticulously confined to the realm of a carefully crafted audio narrative. Allow the sheer, overwhelming gravity of the situation to permeate your understanding, to settle deep within your mind and spirit, thereby preparing you, mentally and emotionally, for the multifaceted, challenging, and ultimately hopeful journey that lies ahead. The practical application here is to willingly surrender to the narrative's intense emotional thrust, to consciously suspend disbelief, and it challenges the listener to engage actively, to speculate wildly, to question deeply ingrained assumptions, and ultimately, to expansively broaden their own personal understanding of what is truly conceivable, what is scientifically plausible, and what is utterly fantastical. From a deep psychological vantage point, this particular approach proves to be incredibly effective, deeply resonant, and profoundly engaging precisely because it directly taps into our inherent, almost insatiable human curiosity, our intrinsic, biological drive to demystify the unknown, and our primal, persistent desire to explore the unfathomable. From the earliest hominids who gazed with awe and wonder at the glittering, enigmatic expanse of the night sky, meticulously charting the movements of celestial bodies, to the contemporary scientists meticulously peering into the perplexing complexities of the quantum realm, humanity has been unequivocally defined by its relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of knowledge and its unyielding, defiant urge to push beyond every conceivable, or even previously inconceivable, perceived boundary. When we are confronted with a question that fundamentally challenges our preconceived notions of what is truly possible, or even permissible, it generates a palpable cognitive dissonance, an intellectual hunger so profound that it imperatively demands a resolution, a deeper understanding that transcends our current limitations. This is not merely about the pragmatic process of problem solving, about finding an answer to a puzzle. It is about evoking a powerful, almost spiritual sense of wonder, of awe, and of profound existential inquiry into our place in the universe. It actively engages the sophisticated circuitry of the prefrontal cortex, that highly evolved region of our brain responsible for intricate complex thought, strategic planning, and nuanced decision-making, thereby compelling us to become active, rather than passive, participants in the unfolding intellectual odyssey. Such meticulously crafted questions resonate with such intensity precisely because they speak directly to our species' enduring and indomitable spirit of exploration, our defiant refusal to accept any limits as irrevocably final, and our unwavering belief in the potential for transcendence beyond our current understanding. They forge an undeniable connection with our deepest sense of collective purpose and our precarious yet hopeful place within the vast, often indifferent, and profoundly mysterious cosmos. We yearn, with an almost aching desire, to know if we are truly alone in this boundless universe, if we possess the inherent capacity to physically traverse the unfathomable distances to distant stars, if there truly exist other habitable worlds, other potential homes for our burgeoning civilization, and crucially, if the very fundamental laws of the universe, as we currently understand them, can indeed be bent, circumvented, or even fundamentally reshaped to align with our burgeoning will and insatiable ambition. This yearning for knowledge, for understanding, for mastery over our fate, is an incredibly powerful engine of engagement, driving us ever onward. For you, the attentive and discerning listener, the pragmatic, actionable application of this profound insight lies in actively embracing the inherent intellectual challenge meticulously embedded within these pivotal questions. As you diligently progress through the unfolding narrative of Project Daedalus, resist the temptation to passively absorb only the presented solutions or the groundbreaking technologies that are unveiled. Instead, make a conscious, concerted effort to actively engage with the foundational, often disquieting, underlying questions themselves. When, for instance, a formidable question is artfully posed concerning the seemingly insurmountable barrier of the speed of light, or the myriad, often terrifying, challenges intrinsically associated with interstellar travel, do not merely await the narrator's subsequent explanation or revelation. Instead, take a deliberate. The narrator's voice, in these instances, is never rushed or hurried. It deliberately allows moments of profound scientific discovery to breathe and expand in the listener's mind, building anticipation and wonder, while conversely allowing moments of acute danger and mounting peril to tighten the listener's stomach with a palpable sense of anxiety and dread. The voice itself, through its nuanced performance, transcends mere narration. It effectively becomes an additional, invaluable character in the narrative, a trusted guide, leading you through immensely complex scientific concepts and harrowing, life or death situations with an unwavering authority, profound empathy, and an almost hypnotic cadence. Subtle, yet incredibly effective, shifts in vocal pitch, strategically placed, deliberate pauses that allow tension to build or information to sink in, and a slightly deeper, more resonant timbre can collectively forge an immediate and undeniable sense of importance and impending revelation, effectively signaling to the astute listener that what they are about to hear is far from trivial. It is, in fact, deeply significant, potentially paradigm-shifting, and utterly essential to the unfolding drama. This sophisticated approach is not about resorting to overt shouting or exaggerated dramatic flourishes, rather, it is about a meticulously controlled, exquisitely nuanced vocal performance that intuitively understands and expertly navigates the intricate emotional and intellectual beats of the overarching narrative, ensuring that every word, every silence, contributes to the overall immersive experience. It's about drawing the listener into the story not with brute force, but with an irresistible, almost gravitational magnetic pull, an invisible tether that keeps them connected and captivated. From a deep psychological standpoint, an immersive and exquisitely suspenseful audio tone functions with remarkable efficiency by cultivating a state of profound flow for the listener. This highly desirable cognitive state, often described as being fully energized and focused during an activity, to the point of losing track of time and self, is precisely what we aim to achieve over a runtime of nearly 5 hours. When a narrative is meticulously delivered with compelling, well-modulated tonal qualities, it possesses the inherent power to significantly minimize extraneous external distractions and concurrently maximize internal cognitive focus, drawing the listener's entire attention inward. Suspense, in particular, is an incredibly potent tool in this regard, as it actively engages our inherent future-oriented cognitive processes. We are, by our very nature, irresistibly drawn to narratives where the ultimate outcome remains uncertain, where the stakes are elevated to breathtaking heights, and where the next revelation, the next twist in the plot, possesses the potential to fundamentally alter everything we thought we understood. This creates a continuous, self-reinforcing feedback loop. The expertly crafted suspense ignites within us an almost insatiable desire to know what transpires next, and that burgeoning anticipation, in turn, keeps us profoundly and relentlessly engaged, chaining our attention to the narrative. The careful, almost orchestral orchestration of the narrator's voice, the rhythmic flow of the sentences, and the implied, often subliminal, soundscape allows the listener to meticulously construct a rich, vivid, and highly detailed mental model of the narrative world, thereby rendering it profoundly real, tangible, and immediately accessible. Furthermore, this approach skillfully taps into our inherent, universal need for emotional resonance. A suspenseful tone can powerfully evoke a spectrum of emotions, a creeping trepidation, a thrilling excitement, or even a sense of profound, cosmic awe, transforming the listening experience from one that is merely informative into one that is deeply felt and emotionally impactful. A consistent, professional, and undeniably engaging tone provides a robust, unwavering anchor, grant. And finally, every intricate layer of this narrative is carefully enveloped within an immersive and subtly suspenseful audio tone, a sonic landscape meticulously crafted not just to hold your attention, but to make every scientific discovery a moment of awe-inspiring wonder, and every looming challenge a source of genuine, palpable anticipation. This carefully calibrated tone will serve as your constant, trusted companion throughout this odyssey, ensuring that the approximate 293 minutes ahead are not just passively informative, but evolve into an utterly captivating, deeply emotional, and profoundly unforgettable expedition into the unknown. As we gracefully transition from this initial, powerful grab for your undivided attention, we now prepare to meticulously delve into the intricate, often turbulent, details of how such an audacious, seemingly impossible project like Daedalus came to be conceived in the first place. We will journey back in time, tracing the faint, almost desperate whispers of an impending global crisis that first sparked the fragile, nascent idea of such an undertaking. We will then examine the groundbreaking scientific breakthroughs, often achieved under immense pressure and against overwhelming odds, that progressively transformed the impossible into the merely improbable, and eventually, into a tangible, albeit monumental, challenge. And crucially, we will shine a spotlight on the extraordinary, often unsung, brilliant minds, the visionaries, the engineers, the scientists, and the dreamers, who dared to look beyond the immediate confines of our dying world, who dared to imagine a future amongst the stars, and who possessed the courage and conviction to transform that desperate dream into a tangible blueprint for survival. Prepare yourself, for the exhilarating journey into Project Daedalus has only just begun, and the stakes, as you now profoundly understand, could not possibly be higher. We are poised to venture into territories where the most ambitious realms of science fiction seamlessly blur with the cutting-edge frontiers of current scientific reality, where the fragile, flickering hope of humanity rests precariously on an unprecedented, almost unthinkable, leap into the vast, silent unknown. Are you truly ready to take that monumental leap of faith and courage with us? The next compelling chapter eagerly awaits, promising to illuminate the stark, undeniable realities and the profound, deeply unsettling circumstances that not only necessitated but made absolutely imperative such a colossal, generation-defining endeavor. Lean in, listen closely, and prepare to have your understanding of humanity's destiny and its boundless potential fundamentally reshaped. Introduction. Welcome, my friend, my fellow voyager, to a journey unlike any other. You are now standing on the precipice of Project Daedalus, a chronicle of ambition, innovation, and the relentless human spirit. This isn't merely an audio book, it is an expedition, a deep dive into the very essence of what drives us to reach beyond the known, to sculpt the improbable into the tangible. As your narrator, I consider it an immense privilege, and indeed, a profound responsibility, to be your guide through the labyrinthine corridors of this monumental undertaking. My primary objective in these opening moments, before we truly plunge into the intricate details of Project Daedalus itself, is to forge a genuine, personal connection between us. Think of it not as a lecture delivered from a distant podium, but rather as a conversation initiated around a warm hearth, perhaps, or shared over the blueprints of an extraordinary dream. Why is this connection so crucial, you might ask? Because the story we are about to unfold together, the complexities we will unravel, the triumphs and tribulations we will vicariously experience, demand more than just passive listening. They invite active participation, a resonance with the human drama that underpins every scientific marvel and every technological leap. Without that initial spark of shared understanding, that tacit agreement to embark on this intellectual and emotional odyssey side by side, the richness of Daedalus might simply become a cascade of information, rather than a truly transformative narrative. To truly set the stage means more than just announcing the title and introducing the premise. It entails establishing the very atmosphere of our shared inquiry. It's about laying down the foundational trust that allows you to feel comfortable, confident, and utterly engrossed in the narrative tapestry I will weave. Imagine preparing for a grand expedition into uncharted territory. Would you prefer a terse, anonymous directive barked from a faceless command center, or a seasoned explorer, looking you directly in the eye, sharing their intimate knowledge, their own trepidation and excitement, and reassuring you that they will be with you every step of the way? My intention is to be that seasoned explorer, sharing not just facts, but the spirit, the challenges, and the profound implications of Project Daedalus. We will navigate the exhilarating highs of discovery and innovation, but also the daunting lows of unforeseen obstacles and the sheer weight of responsibility that often accompanies groundbreaking endeavors. This connection is the anchor that will allow us to brave any storm, to celebrate every breakthrough, and to truly understand the soul of this project. The art of storytelling, particularly in an auditory medium, hinges critically on this concept of building rapport. When you hear a voice, your mind instinctively begins to construct an image, a persona. My aim is to ensure that persona is one of an informed companion, someone who respects your intelligence and your curiosity, and who is dedicated to illuminating every facet of this incredible story with clarity and passion. It's about bridging the gap between the abstract concept of a book and the very human act of listening, understanding, and internalizing. We are not just covering topics, we are exploring themes, dissecting dilemmas, and celebrating achievements that resonate with universal human aspirations. This introductory phase is our handshake, our shared glance of anticipation before the curtain rises on something truly magnificent. It's an invitation to lean in, to open your mind not just to new information, but to new ways of thinking about possibility, about human ingenuity, and about our place in the grand cosmic design. And now, with this foundation of connection firmly established, let us delve into the specific contours of our narrative journey, starting with the unique vantage point from which I will be narrating this tale. Our first key point, and one that is absolutely fundamental to understanding the narrative arc of. I wasn't just observing the construction, I was deeply involved in understanding its structural integrity, its purpose, and communicating its unfolding story both internally and to select external stakeholders. This wasn't a passive role, it was an active one, requiring not only a deep comprehension of the scientific and engineering challenges but also a nuanced understanding of the human element, the personalities, the conflicts, the moments of despair, and the exhilarating breakthroughs. My unique mandate was to synthesize complex technical data, often presented in disparate forms, into cohesive narratives, to bridge the communication gaps between different disciplines, and ultimately, to articulate the project's evolving story, its mission, and its challenges to those who needed to understand it most. This perspective allows me to offer not just a factual account, but an interpretation imbued with the pulse and breadth of the project itself, filtered through the experiences of those who brought it to life. I have seen the diagrams annotated with frantic scribbles, overheard the hushed, urgent conversations in late-night labs, and felt the palpable tension in moments of critical decision-making. This is the lens through which I invite you to view Project Daedalus. Let's consider a real-world storytelling example to illuminate the significance of this unique perspective. Think of a renowned journalist, perhaps one like Christiana Monpour, reporting from a war zone. She doesn't merely relay government press releases or analyze events from a comfortable studio far away. She is on the ground, experiencing the dust, the tension, the human cost, the raw immediacy of conflict. Her reports carry an unparalleled weight, an authenticity that stems directly from her proximity to the unfolding drama. She speaks not just of strategies and casualties, but of the faces, the fears, the resilience of the people caught in the midst of it all. Her unique perspective, forged in the crucible of direct experience, allows her to provide a depth of insight, a humanizing element, that an academic historian, however brilliant, studying documents years later simply cannot replicate. Or, to take another example, consider an experienced mountain guide leading a climb up a formidable peak. They don't just point to the summit on a map. They speak of the shifting snow, the treacherous ice, the unexpected rock falls, the precise placement of each foot, because they have felt the mountain beneath their own boots. They know the subtle signs of changing weather and the psychological toll of sustained effort, not from a textbook, but from personal, visceral experience. Their authority isn't merely intellectual, it is experiential, earned through direct engagement and a deep, intimate understanding of the terrain. Similarly, my narrative here comes from having been deeply immersed in the challenging, exhilarating, and sometimes heart-wrenching terrain of Project Daedalus. Now, let's psychologically dissect why this unique perspective matters so profoundly to you, the listener. Firstly, it cultivates an invaluable sense of credibility and trust. When you understand that the narrator possesses first-hand knowledge, that their insights are not merely theoretical or second-hand, your natural skepticism, that healthy human trait, is significantly reduced. You are far more inclined to accept the information, to absorb the nuanced interpretations, and to believe in the authenticity of the narrative because you perceive the source as reliable and deeply informed. This trust is the bedrock upon which genuine engagement is built. Secondly, and perhaps even more powerfully, a unique, embedded perspective fosters empathy and immersion. We humans are inherently drawn to personal stories, to narratives that have a human voice and a human connection. When you hear that I, your narrator, was not merely an academic but a participant, you are invited to see the events through my eyes, to share in the emotional landscape of the project. This deepens your engagement, transform I. Then comes a truly pivotal stage, assembly and integration. These chapters will describe the intricate dance of bringing together disparate, highly specialized components into a harmonious, functional whole. Imagine the precision, the coordination, and the sheer scale of the operation required to assemble something of such unprecedented complexity. We will feel the tension, the meticulous attention to detail, and the profound satisfaction of seeing distinct parts coalesce into a unified entity. The journey continues with testing and validation, where we will witness the rigorous, often nail-biting, processes of subjecting Project Daedalus to a battery of unprecedented trials. These chapters will explore the meticulous data analysis, the unexpected anomalies, and the critical decisions made to refine and perfect the system to meet its ambitious objectives. This is where the rubber truly meets the road, where theory confronts reality. Following this, we will enter the realm of mission deployment, detailing the final preparations, the nerve-wracking countdowns, and the moment Project Daedalus finally embarks on its extraordinary journey. These chapters will capture the anticipation, the collective breath held, and the exhilaration of launch. Finally, our narrative will culminate in the chapters dedicated to the voyage and discoveries and the legacy. Here, we will explore the actual operational phase of Project Daedalus, detailing its unprecedented achievements, the groundbreaking data it collected, and the profound impact of its discoveries on our understanding of the universe and, indeed, of ourselves. The concluding chapters will reflect on the lasting implications of this endeavor, not just scientifically, but culturally, philosophically, and for the future trajectory of human ambition. Each of these 22 chapters is a deliberate step in a carefully constructed progression, designed to immerse you fully in the evolving saga, revealing layer by layer the intricate tapestry of human endeavor, scientific brilliance, and sheer audacity that defines Project Daedalus. We will trace a path from the initial glimmer of an idea to its profound and far-reaching impact, experiencing the full spectrum of human emotions and intellectual breakthroughs along the way. To illustrate the effectiveness of providing such an overview, consider the analogy of a skilled tour guide presenting an itinerary for a grand global adventure. They wouldn't simply list every single hotel or restaurant. Instead, they would paint a vivid picture of the major continents you'll visit, the iconic landmarks you'll see, and the unique cultural experiences you'll encounter in each region. We'll begin in the bustling markets of Marrakesh, they might say, then soar across the Sahara to the ancient wonders of Egypt, before journeying eastward to the serene temples of Kyoto and the vibrant metropolises of Southeast Asia. This high-level narrative gives you a comprehensive understanding of the scope and scale of the journey, allowing you to mentally prepare, to anticipate, and to organize your expectations without revealing every single surprise or detail. Similarly, a professor at the beginning of a semester doesn't just hand out a dense, itemized syllabus. They stand before the class and articulate the overarching themes of the course, explaining how each unit builds upon the last, how the initial foundational concepts will lead to advanced theories, and what the ultimate learning objectives are for the entire journey. This introductory overview provides a vital cognitive framework, allowing students to place new information into a larger, coherent context as it is presented throughout the semester. It creates a sense of purpose and direction, making the learning process far more engaging and effective. From a psychological perspective, offering a clear overview of the journey ahead is profoundly important for several reasons. Primarily, it significantly reduces uncertainty, which is a powerful source of anxiety for the human mind. When listener, this authority stems not from arrogance, but from genuine expertise and a deep understanding of the subject matter. My background as an embedded analyst and strategic communications liaison for Project Daedalus grants me this authority, and it is reflected in the precision of my language, the depth of my insights, and the confidence with which I navigate even the most complex aspects of the mission. This authoritative element assures you that the information you are receiving is reliable, thoroughly researched, and presented by someone who truly understands its nuances. It means I will not shy away from the difficult questions, the ethical dilemmas, or the profound challenges faced by the project, but will address them with a balanced, informed perspective. It is the voice of someone who has been there, who has processed the data, who has wrestled with the implications, and who is now expertly curating this knowledge for your benefit. The blend of these two elements, the approachable, engaging conversation and the assured, knowledgeable guidance, creates an ideal environment for absorbing complex information, for feeling both comfortable and intellectually stimulated, and for fully appreciating the monumental scope of Project Daedalus. It's an invitation to a master class, delivered by a trusted confidant, ensuring that you feel both welcomed and profoundly enlightened. Consider a real-world storytelling example of this delicate balance. Imagine a seasoned wildlife documentary narrator, someone like Sir David Attenborough. His voice is instantly recognizable for its warmth, its wonder, and its profound respect for the natural world. He speaks to you conversationally, often asking rhetorical questions like, "How does such a tiny creature achieve such incredible feats?" inviting you into the mystery. Yet, there is an unmistakable authority in his voice, born from decades of first-hand experience, meticulous research, and an encyclopedic knowledge of biology and ecology. You trust his every word because his passion is evident, but so is his undeniable expertise. He doesn't lecture, he shares. He doesn't dictate, he enlightens. This blend makes complex scientific concepts not just digestible, but utterly captivating for a vast audience. Or, consider a brilliant TED Talk speaker. They often begin with a personal anecdote or a compelling question, immediately drawing the audience in on a human level. Their delivery is engaging, often humorous, and always relatable. But underlying that engaging presentation is a bedrock of profound knowledge, innovative research, and a carefully constructed argument that establishes their authority on the topic. They are guiding you through a complex idea with both charm and substance, making you feel intellectually enriched without feeling overwhelmed. This conversational yet authoritative tone is precisely what I strive to emulate in guiding you through the multifaceted narrative of Project Daedalus. From a psychological standpoint, the establishment of this particular tone is incredibly potent. Firstly, it builds an almost instantaneous sense of trust and rapport. A warm, engaging voice that sounds knowledgeable rather than condescending immediately puts the listener at ease. We are more receptive to information when we feel respected and understood. This emotional safety creates an optimal environment for learning, reducing any subconscious resistance to new or complex ideas. Secondly, this balanced tone significantly optimizes the learning process itself. An overly formal, purely authoritative voice can feel dry and disengaging, leading to mental fatigue and reduced retention. Conversely, an overly casual or meandering tone can lack the gravitas needed to convey the importance and complexity of the subject matter, leading to a diminished sense of value. The sweet spot, this conversational authority, keeps the listener engaged by making the information approachable, while simultaneously imbuing it with the necessary weight and credibility. It holds your attention through its inviting quality. Main Chapters 1-7, The Blueprint. Welcome back, dear listener, to Project Daedalus. In our last chapter, we set the stage, painting a picture of humanity's yearning for the stars and the audacious vision that birthed this colossal undertaking. Today, we plunge headfirst into the very heart of that vision, into the foundational bedrock upon which Daedalus was conceived and meticulously constructed. We're about to explore the blueprint, not just a static drawing, but a living, evolving testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Our journey begins, as all great journeys must, with a deep dive into the core concept of Project Daedalus itself. What sparked this monumental endeavor? What was its origin story? In the early decades of the 21st century, a growing sense of unease settled upon humanity. Resource depletion, exacerbated by an ever-growing global population and an insatiable demand for energy, was no longer a theoretical concern for future generations. It was a looming shadow, casting long, stark anxieties across the present. Earth, our cherished cradle, was showing undeniable signs of strain. The collective dream of endless growth, fueled by readily available planetary resources, was beginning to curdle into a nightmare of scarcity and impending conflict. Was it not evident that humanity, like a child outgrowing its home, needed to look beyond? It was in this crucible of impending crisis and burgeoning awareness that a small, yet extraordinarily influential, consortium of philanthropic visionaries, entrepreneurial titans, and forward-thinking scientific minds coalesced. They harbored a shared conviction: humanity's destiny lay not solely on Earth, but among the stars. Not as an escape, but as an expansion, a grand evolutionary leap. They understood that the immediate problems could only be truly solved by unlocking fundamentally new paradigms of energy and resource acquisition, and the only viable source for such boundless potential lay beyond our atmosphere, in the vast, untapped wealth of the cosmos. This wasn't merely about survival, it was about thriving, about pushing the boundaries of what it meant to be human. They envisioned a future where humanity was not confined to a single, fragile planet, but was a multi-world species, resilient and boundless. The initial spark, the true genesis of Project Daedalus, emerged from the work of Dr. Eris Thorne, a theoretical physicist whose early papers on exotic matter propulsion and the potential for a stable, high-yield fusion reaction, while initially dismissed as wildly speculative by mainstream academia, had quietly captivated this consortium. Thorne wasn't just a theorist, he was a philosophical pragmatist, acutely aware of the ticking clock. He presented a radical, yet meticulously calculated, proposal, to design, build, and launch an interstellar vessel capable of reaching a potentially habitable exoplanet within a single human lifetime. This wasn't a generational ship, but one designed for speed, for reaching a new frontier before Earth's candle flickered too low. The initial funding, enormous even by today's standards, flowed from discreet, anonymous sources, driven by a profound sense of urgency and a shared belief in Thorne's audacious vision. This was not a government project, subject to political whims and public scrutiny, but a privately funded, globally significant initiative, operating in the shadows, driven by pure scientific imperative and a deep-seated hope for humanity's future. The scientific foundation for Project Daedalus was, naturally, immensely complex, a tapestry woven from the most advanced frontiers of physics, engineering, and biology. At its heart lay the ambition to harness what Thorne termed iterative quantum-pulsed fusion, a theoretical leap beyond conventional fusion reactors. Imagine, if you will, the power of a star, concentrated and controlled within a chamber no larger than a small building. Traditional fusion attempts on Earth struggled with containment and sustained energy output. Thorne's theory proposed a revolutionary approach, instead of continuous burn. The participants, already intellectual giants in their own right, would find themselves amongst peers of extraordinary caliber, unknowingly being evaluated on their problem-solving approaches, their ethical frameworks, and their capacity for deep, abstract thought. Consider the case of Dr. Ji-Un Lee, a world-renowned materials scientist, whose groundbreaking work on quantum-entangled polymers was revolutionizing medical implants. Lee was notoriously private, dedicated solely to his research. His recruitment began with an anonymous submission of a highly theoretical, seemingly unsolvable problem related to superdense energy storage, a problem directly relevant to Daedalus. Intrigued by its complexity, Lee poured weeks into attempting a solution. He eventually received an encrypted message, containing a subtle hint, a piece of information that allowed him to see a path forward. This iterative dance continued, each step revealing a bit more of the Daedalus puzzle, drawing him deeper into the intellectual challenge. Finally, after months, when he had demonstrated not only his unparalleled brilliance but also his insatiable curiosity and discretion, a direct, yet still highly secure, approach was made. He was presented with the full scope of Project Daedalus, under the strictest non-disclosure agreements imaginable. The allure wasn't money or fame, it was the chance to contribute to humanity's grandest endeavor, to apply his genius to a problem of cosmic scale. This kind of covert recruitment wasn't just about secrecy, it was a profound psychological vetting process. Why does this matter? Psychologically, it matters because grand, transformative projects demand more than just technical skill, they demand a specific kind of human spirit. Individuals willing to operate in secrecy, to dedicate years, perhaps even decades, to an endeavor that might never see public light, possess a unique blend of altruism, intellectual purity, and a profound sense of purpose. They are driven by the intrinsic reward of discovery and creation, rather than extrinsic motivators like public accolades or financial gain. The secrecy itself creates an intense bond amongst the participants, a shared secret that fosters deep trust and mutual reliance. It screens for those who prioritize the mission above personal glory, who understand the immense stakes involved. For listeners, how can this translate into practical application steps in your own lives or projects? Firstly, identify the intrinsic motivators of your potential collaborators or team members. What truly drives them? Is it passion for the problem, a desire to learn, or a sense of contribution? Build your team around these shared passions, not just skill sets. Secondly, understand the power of staged engagement. You don't always need to reveal the full scope of a challenging project immediately. Present intriguing problems, offer opportunities for unique contribution, and observe how individuals respond to intellectual challenges and collaborative demands before committing to the full vision. This allows for a deeper, more authentic vetting process, building trust and commitment incrementally. Finally, cultivate a culture of discretion and trust. In any high-stakes environment, knowing your team can be relied upon to handle sensitive information with integrity is paramount. This isn't about fostering paranoia, but about building a foundation of respect and professional ethics. Now, let us turn our attention to the magnificent heart of Project Daedalus, the complex propulsion theories that promise to hurl humanity across the vast cosmic ocean. As we touched upon earlier, the iterative quantum-pulsed fusion drive was the chosen pathway, but understanding its mechanics, even in broad strokes, requires a shift in perspective. Forget the rumbling roar of a chemical rocket, or even the steady glow of a conventional fission reactor. Imagine, instead, a cosmic lighthouse, not sending out light, but sending out precisely timed, immensely powerful bursts of energy, each pulse pushing the ship infinitesima. For your practical application steps, dear listener, consider how often you encounter complex information in your own life, whether it's a new software interface, a financial report, or a challenging concept at work. Practice the art of simplification through analogy. How can you explain a complicated process or idea to someone who has no background in it, using metaphors they can relate to from their daily experience? This isn't about dumbing down, it's about clarity and accessibility. Break down the components. Identify the core function. Then, find a parallel in the everyday world, a car engine, a cooking recipe, a garden. This skill is invaluable for communication, leadership, and even for your own learning, as the act of simplifying often deepens your own understanding of a subject. Now, as compelling as the vision and as brilliant as the theories, no grand human endeavor, particularly one pushing the very boundaries of the possible, is without its immense challenges and its dark valleys of failure. Project Daedalus, in its infancy, was no exception. Indeed, its early years were a brutal proving ground, a testament to the unforgiving nature of cutting-edge science and engineering. These were the moments when the dream felt most fragile, when the sheer impossibility of the task threatened to overwhelm even the most hardened scientists and engineers. The early failures weren't minor glitches, they were fundamental roadblocks that threatened to derail the entire project. One of the most significant setbacks involved the metastable metallic hydrogen alloys, the very bedrock of the ship's structural integrity. While theoretical models were promising, actual synthesis and testing proved devastatingly difficult. Early prototypes of the material, when subjected to the extreme pressures and radiation levels simulated for deep space, exhibited catastrophic structural fatigue, crumbling under stress, or failing to maintain their quantum stability. Imagine pouring years of research, billions of dollars, and the hopes of hundreds of brilliant minds into developing a material that simply didn't work as intended. The core problem was maintaining the supercompressed, metallic phase of hydrogen at temperatures that could still be handled by fabrication techniques. The stability window was too narrow, too volatile. The dream of a lightweight, indestructible hull seemed to evaporate into an unmanageable quantum foam. Another major hurdle was in the energy containment and harvest mechanism for the iterative quantum-pulsed fusion drive itself. Simulations were one thing, but designing a physical system capable of channeling and extracting usable energy from these hyper-energetic, short-duration fusion events proved nightmarishly complex. Early designs for the magnetic confinement bottles and energy conversion coils were constantly plagued by inefficiencies. It was like trying to catch lightning in a sieve. Much of the immense energy generated was either lost as waste heat, or, worse, caused microfractures in the containment fields, threatening catastrophic breaches. There was one particularly infamous incident, during a scaled-down prototype test, where a containment field failed spectacularly, vaporizing a substantial portion of the test chamber and sending shrapnel through several reinforced walls. Fortunately, no lives were lost, but the physical destruction and the psychological blow to the team were immense. It underscored the sheer, raw power they were trying to tame, and the incredibly fine line between success and utter devastation. Morale plummeted. Doubts festered. Was this truly possible? Had they overreached? The consortium began to seriously question the viability of Daedalus, even initiating contingency plans for project termination. The breakthrough, when it finally arrived, was not a singular flash of inspiration but the culmination of relentless perseverance, interdisciplinary cross-pollination, and a willingness to completely rethink fundamental assumptions. The solution to the metallic hydrogen alloy problem came. The stage is now set, dear listener. The core theories are established, the initial challenges overcome, and the team is forged in the fires of adversity. But a blueprint, however detailed, is just a plan. In our next chapter, we will delve into the monumental task of bringing this blueprint to life, exploring the unprecedented engineering challenges, the global resource acquisition, and the sheer logistical nightmare of beginning to build the largest and most complex vessel ever conceived. Join me as we embark on the fascinating journey of construction begins, from theory to titanium. But before the first rivet could be forged, before the first cubic meter of titanium could be milled, we must step back, deep into the clandestine chambers where Project Daedalus was first conceived. The story of its genesis isn't one of sudden inspiration, but of relentless scientific pursuit born from a growing understanding of humanity's precarious position. For decades, the faint whispers from astronomers had grown louder, the subtle but undeniable signs of an approaching celestial event, or perhaps a slow, inexorable shift in our own star's life cycle, demanded an answer. Earth was not forever, and the stars, once distant dreams, had to become a reachable refuge for humanity's future. The initial impetus was not merely scientific curiosity but an urgent, existential imperative. The scientific foundation for Project Daedalus wasn't laid in a single stroke of genius, but brick by painstaking brick, by generations of physicists who pushed the boundaries of theoretical possibility. Long before the public ever heard the name Daedalus, a small, highly classified division within various global scientific academies had been tasked with a singular, impossible-sounding goal: identify a propulsion method capable of accelerating a spacecraft to a significant fraction of the speed of light, ensuring interstellar transit within a human lifespan. Chemical rockets, for all their impressive thrust, were mere firecrackers by comparison, capable of reaching other planets in our solar system, but utterly inadequate for the immense gulfs between stars. Antimatter propulsion, while theoretically offering unparalleled efficiency, presented insurmountable challenges in terms of stable production, storage, and safety at the scales required for a vessel of Daedalus's magnitude. It was the elegant, terrifying power of controlled nuclear fusion that emerged as the only viable candidate, offering the colossal energy density needed to achieve truly relativistic velocities. The theory of inertial confinement fusion, where tiny pellets of deuterium and helium-3 fuel are compressed and heated by powerful lasers or particle beams to ignite a mini-thermonuclear reaction, offered the fundamental principle. Imagine, if you will, harnessing the power of a tiny, controlled star, not in the heart of a distant sun, but within a shielded chamber on a ship, repeating that process hundreds of times a second. This was the core concept, a rapid succession of miniature, contained stellar explosions to generate continuous, immense thrust. But moving from theoretical elegance and a few promising laboratory experiments to practical engineering on an unprecedented scale was a chasm wider than any ocean. To bridge it, an assembly of the finest minds the world had ever produced was required, a task that began in the deepest secrecy, unseen by the public eye. The recruitment process for Project Daedalus was a marvel of covert operations, a meticulously planned global headhunt conducted under the radar of every intelligence agency, corporate entity, and academic institution. Imagine the clandestine approach: a renowned astrophysicist, deeply engrossed in a complex cosmological equation, suddenly receiving an unmarked letter delivered by a silent, untraceable courier, containing a cryptic invitation to a symposium on an obscure branch of high-energy plasma physics, to be held at an undisclosed location. A brilliant structural engineer, whose revolutionary work on deep-sea platforms had R. Then there was the fusion ignition itself. Achieving net energy gain from controlled fusion was, and in many ways still is, the holy grail of energy research on Earth. To reliably generate it, repeatedly and continuously, in a tiny chamber within a moving spacecraft presented engineering demands of unimaginable scale. Early experiments, though highly classified and utilizing the most powerful facilities on the planet, were fraught with failure. Pellets wouldn't ignite uniformly, the intricate magnetic confinement fields would collapse prematurely, or the energy input required to initiate the reaction consistently far exceeded the energy output. The control systems alone, tasked with synchronizing the precise injection of the fuel pellet, the firing of multiple high-power lasers or electron beams, and the dynamic modulation of the magnetic containment fields, were of a complexity previously unimaginable. Picture trying to hit a moving, microscopic target with multiple, independent beams of light, each precisely timed to femtosecond accuracy, all while it's in a vacuum chamber oscillating with high energy fields. The precision engineering and computational power required seemed to defy the limits of human capability, even with the most advanced supercomputers at their disposal. These early failures were not just setbacks, they were moments of profound doubt, periods where the very fabric of the Daedalus team seemed to fray under the relentless pressure of the impossible. Scientists argued fiercely, engineers despaired, and even the most optimistic among them began to question the entire endeavor, facing the stark reality that their grand vision might be nothing more than a pipe dream. One particularly devastating series of simulations, grimly codenamed Icarus Fall, predicted that even with optimized, hypothetical materials, the pusher plate would completely degrade within mere weeks of continuous operation, rendering any multi-year interstellar journey utterly impossible. The structural integrity would be compromised, thrust efficiency would plummet, and the mission would effectively be a colossal failure before it even left the solar system. The project teetered on the brink of cancellation, facing a critical review where the data simply didn't support proceeding. It was in this crucible of despair, this darkest hour, that the true genius of the Daedalus team shone through. The breakthrough that ultimately saved the project wasn't a single aha moment in isolation, but a synergistic triumph of interdisciplinary collaboration, a testament to the power of diverse minds attacking a singular problem from every conceivable angle. It began with Dr. Anya Sharma, a young, unassuming materials physicist from Helsinki, who, in a moment of sheer frustration following the Icarus Fall data, began exploring entirely novel non-equilibrium plasma interactions with ceramic composite structures designed at the atomic level. Her radical idea was audacious. Instead of trying to simply resist the plasma blast with brute strength, could they design a plate that would ablatively regenerate its surface with each pulse, effectively healing itself and shedding spent material in a controlled manner? Simultaneously, halfway across the hidden facility, Dr. Kenji Tanaka, a pioneer in high-power laser systems and electron beam accelerators from Kyoto, proposed a revolutionary multi-stage ignition sequence. This sequence utilized not just lasers, but also precisely synchronized, focused electron beams to achieve a far more symmetrical and robust pellet compression, drastically lowering the energy required for fusion ignition and increasing its reliability. These two seemingly disparate breakthroughs, when integrated through countless hours of frantic simulation and experimental verification, formed the cornerstone of the final propulsion system. Sharma's ablative regenerative plate, a self-healing marvel of nanotechnology and material science, could withstand the sustained punishment, albeit at the cost of a slow, controlled erosion that was met. Main Chapters 8 to 14, The Build. Welcome back, intrepid voyagers, to Project Daedalus. In our last journey together, we delved into the foundational blueprints, the initial political maneuvering, and the audacious vision that first sparked this interstellar dream. Today, we step beyond the realm of theory and into the tangible, exhilarating, and often harrowing reality of creation itself. We are about to witness the birth of a titan, a vessel destined to carry humanity's hopes across the vast cosmic ocean. This chapter, a sprawling epic in its own right, encompasses main chapters 8 through 14 of the Project Daedalus saga, a period we affectionately title The Build. It is here that the abstract calculations translate into colossal structures, where ambition clashes with the unforgiving physics of space, and where the human spirit, both noble and flawed, is tested to its absolute limits. Our core focus for this extended exploration will be threefold: the sheer, unimaginable scale of the vessel's physical construction, the ever-present, insidious shadow of political interference that threatened to derail everything, and the rising tensions, both external and internal, that simmered beneath the surface of this monumental undertaking. Imagine, if you will, the bustling, silent symphony of an orbital shipyard. No clanging hammers or roaring machinery, not as we know it on Earth, but a meticulous, balletic dance of massive robotic arms, illuminated by the cold, impartial light of distant stars and the focused beams of EVA suits. This is where Daedalus began to take shape, not in some terrestrial factory, but suspended in the very void it was designed to conquer. The construction of Daedalus was not merely an engineering feat, it was an act of cosmic sculpting, an audacious declaration against the emptiness of space. Picture a spider weaving an intricate, gargantuan web, strand by painstaking strand, in the eternal darkness. That was the essence of building Daedalus. Material, harvested from asteroids, ferried from lunar mines, or manufactured in high-orbit foundries, arrived in a constant, meticulously choreographed procession. Each girder, each panel, each conduit, was guided into place with astonishing precision by automated systems, augmented by human engineers in their bulky, life-sustaining suits, tethered to the evolving skeleton of the ship. Their breath misted inside their helmets, their movements deliberate, almost reverent, as they became part of something so much grander than themselves. The shipyard itself was a wonder, a sprawling, multi-tiered latticework of docks, assembly bays, and habitation modules, a temporary city built for the singular purpose of fabricating humanity's exodus. The scale of Daedalus, once fully conceived in its structural glory, defied easy comprehension. How do you truly grasp something that, when completed, would span several kilometers, a metallic leviathan that dwarfed the largest skyscrapers on Earth, making even the most enormous supercarriers seem like toys? It was not merely a ship, it was a self-contained ecosystem, a movable world. Its primary thrusters, the very engines that would propel it across interstellar distances, were individually the size of modest office buildings, their internal workings a labyrinth of superconducting coils and fusion reactors, capable of generating thrust measurable in hundreds of thousands of tons. The immense fuel tanks, storing exotic, highly volatile antimatter and advanced fusion propellants, stretched for vast lengths, protected by multiple layers of shielding and redundant containment systems. Then there were the habitation modules, designed to sustain generations of human life. These weren't just cramped cabins, they were miniature biomes, carefully engineered to mimic terrestrial environments, complete with enclosed parks, artificial daylight cycles, and advanced hydroponic farms. Laboratories, observation decks, command centers, recreation areas, medical facilities, each segment was a microcosm of human endeavor, meticulously designed for longevity and resilience in the face of the unknown. The sheer number of individual components, tens of millions, perhaps hundreds of millions, each requiring precise fabrication, integration, and testing, was mind-boggling. Every screw, every circuit board, every meter of cabling had to be perfect, flawlessly installed, because in the unforgiving vacuum of deep space, there are no second chances, no convenient repair shops. It was a project that consumed not just material wealth, but intellectual capital on an unprecedented scale, drawing upon the brightest minds across every discipline imaginable, coalescing their disparate genius into a singular, monumental creation. To truly contextualize this, think of the Apollo program's vehicle assembly building at Cape Canaveral, that iconic, monumental structure capable of housing multiple Saturn V rockets. Now imagine that structure, not as a shell around a rocket, but as the framework for building something 10 or 20 times larger, constructed not on solid ground, but hundreds of kilometers above the Earth, constantly bathed in the lethal embrace of unfiltered solar radiation and the absolute zero of space. Or consider the construction of the International Space Station, piece by painstaking piece, over decades, a collaborative effort of global proportions. Daedalus was that, amplified by several orders of magnitude, with the added complexity of being a self-contained world ship rather than an orbiting laboratory. It was a testament to what humanity could achieve when united by a singular, overwhelming purpose, a purpose that transcended petty squabbles and nationalistic boundaries, at least in theory. Psychologically, what does a project of this scale do to the human psyche? It elicits awe, certainly, a profound sense of wonder at the boundless ambition of our species. But it also instills a deep, almost spiritual sense of purpose. When you are contributing to something so grand, so historic, it elevates your own existence. Every engineer, every technician, every logistician, every laborer felt a connection to this future, a personal stake in humanity's next great leap. It fostered a collective identity, a shared destiny that transcended individual differences. Yet, it also brought a crushing weight of responsibility, an understanding of the infinitesimal margin for error. The Dunning-Kruger effect, that cognitive bias where people with low ability overestimate their expertise, works in reverse here. The more intimately involved you became, the more you understood the terrifying complexity, the more acutely aware you became of the myriad ways things could go wrong, yet paradoxically, the more determined you became to ensure its success. It's the realization of the vastness of the challenge that hones focus, rather than dulling it. It's the constant fight against entropy, the relentless pursuit of perfection in an imperfect universe. For us, listening to this narrative, what practical applications can we glean from this incredible tale of construction? Firstly, it underscores the critical importance of visualizing the end product, no matter how daunting or distant it may seem. The Daedalus team never lost sight of the ship's ultimate purpose, its final form. Secondly, it highlights the necessity of breaking down overwhelmingly large goals into manageable, interconnected sub-projects. The ship wasn't built all at once, Everyone looked at their neighbor with a new, unwelcome question in their eyes: could it be them? To find a real-world parallel for this kind of suspense, one needs only to look at the Cold War espionage thrillers, stories like John Le Carre's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, where the enemy is not a visible force but an unseen mole, a betrayal from within that undermines the very fabric of an organization. Or consider the psychological drama of Agatha Christie's mysteries, where a small, isolated group is forced to confront the chilling reality that one among them is a killer. Even in modern high-tech projects, instances of industrial espionage or insider threats, though rarely as dramatic as a missing scientist, echo this theme. Imagine the compromises of data security within a major government project, or the subtle manipulation of supply chains to benefit a rival. The suspense in Project Daedalus wasn't just about the external dangers of space, it was about the internal rot, the fear that the enemy was already inside the gates, or worse, indistinguishable from a colleague. Psychologically, this atmosphere of sabotage and disappearance is profoundly unsettling. It introduces paranoia, eroding the very trust that a monumental collaborative project absolutely depends upon. Fear of the unknown becomes a constant companion, breeding suspicion and anxiety. For leaders, it creates an unbearable pressure to identify the threat, to protect their people, and to maintain morale in the face of an invisible enemy. For the team, it fosters a sense of vulnerability, a realization that even in the safest, most secure environment, danger can lurk in the most unexpected places. It can trigger the diffusion of responsibility, where in a large group, everyone assumes someone else is handling the threat, leading to inaction, or conversely, a hypervigilance that strains relationships. It tests the very core of group cohesion, demanding resilience, and an unwavering commitment to the greater good even when doubt is rampant. How do you trust your team when you suspect one of them might be a saboteur? How do you focus on the infinite complexities of building a starship when a fundamental human betrayal hangs heavy in the air? So, how do we apply this understanding in our own lives, in our own projects, big or small? Firstly, it emphasizes the critical importance of robust risk management and contingency planning. You must anticipate not just technical failures, but human failures and malicious intent. Secondly, it underscores the need for an open and transparent communication culture, even when faced with difficult truths. Suppressing information only breeds rumor and greater distrust. Thirdly, it highlights the essential role of vigilance and meticulous security protocols, whether for data, physical access, or personnel. And finally, it teaches us about building resilience against external and internal pressures. When faced with betrayal or sabotage, a strong organizational culture, clear leadership, and a shared purpose can act as a bulwark against collapse. It's about remembering your why even when the how is under attack, and about having faith in the vast majority, even when a tiny minority causes immense disruption. Despite these unsettling internal battles, the construction forged ahead, driven by a primal human urge to complete what had been started. The internal investigations into Dr. Thorne's disappearance and the acts of sabotage continued, but the schedule, the monumental schedule for Daedalus, waited for no one. This relentless march forward culminated in the most critical test of all, a moment of breathtaking suspense and unimaginable power, the successful, yet costly, test of the main thrusters. The preparation for this event was a saga in itself. For weeks, the orbital shipyard became a hub of concentrated, almost desperate activity. Thousands of automated checks, manual inspections by human teams, diagnostic sweeps of every conduit, every control circuit, every structural support within the thruster assemblies. Simulating. From a psychological perspective, the successful thruster test brings a profound sense of catharsis. After months and years of painstaking work, of facing down doubts and internal threats, there is a release of tension, an exhilarating validation of effort. It's a peak experience, a moment of pure triumph that reinforces belief in the project and in oneself. For the project leaders, it's a moment of immense relief, the heavy burden of responsibility temporarily lifted, replaced by a surge of renewed confidence. Yet, the lingering anxiety of the next big test quickly sets in, the realization that this was just one hurdle, albeit a massive one, in a marathon journey. There's also the psychological interplay of the sunk cost fallacy. The deeper you get into a project, the more resources you've committed, the harder it becomes to abandon it, irrespective of future costs or mounting problems. In this case, the success of the thruster test reinforced the belief that the sunk cost was indeed worth it, pushing forward the narrative of continued investment. It reinforces the human drive for progress, for seeing a vision through to its tangible manifestation. For our practical application, what can we learn from this momentous test? Firstly, it underscores the vital importance of celebrating milestones. In any long-term, arduous project, acknowledging and celebrating successes, even costly ones, is crucial for maintaining morale and momentum. Secondly, it teaches us to learn from near failures and the cost of innovation. The minor structural fatigue and near misses weren't ignored, they were meticulously analyzed, providing invaluable data for future improvements and safety protocols. Thirdly, it highlights the importance of managing expectations and communicating progress effectively. While the thruster test was a triumph, its political cost needed careful handling to prevent opponents from seizing on it. And finally, it reinforces commitment. A major success like this galvanizes the team, reminding them of their shared capabilities and the grand purpose they serve, steeling them for the challenges that still lie ahead. It's about taking that breath, enjoying the victory, and then immediately turning your gaze to the next horizon, because the journey is far from over. As the echoes of the thruster test faded into the vastness of space, a new phase of Project Daedalus began to unfurl. The physical construction, while ongoing in its meticulous detailing, now shifted its focus from the colossal to the intricate, from the grand architecture to the internal organs of the ship. The political interference, though tempered by the undeniable success of the thruster test, did not vanish, it merely transformed, becoming more subtle, more insidious, as opponents regrouped and sought new vulnerabilities. The rising tensions, however, intensified, fueled by the lingering mystery of Dr. Thorne, the unanswered questions of sabotage, and the immense pressure of an impending launch window. We have witnessed Daedalus transform from a mere blueprint into a tangible leviathan, a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. We have seen the shadow of human frailty and malice attempt to undermine this grand ambition. And we have felt the raw power of innovation, the thrill of success, and the stark reality of its cost. The build chapter of Project Daedalus is a microcosm of human endeavor itself, a relentless push forward, punctuated by triumphs and setbacks, shadowed by doubt and sustained by unwavering hope. But the ship, this colossal vessel, is not yet a living thing. It is a body awaiting its soul, its crew. In our next chapter, we will delve into the final preparations for launch, the harrowing selection of the crew who will embark on this one-way journey, and the ultimate, poignant moment of departure. Join us then, as Project Daedalus stands on the precipice of its destiny, ready to cast off the shackles of Earth and embrace the cosmic unknown. The cosmic unknown, however, was not merely a distant dream, it was the very crucible. Errors that, if undetected, would have sent the multi-billion-dollar component careening off course during installation, potentially crippling a vital section of the ship. Investigation pointed to a deliberate, sophisticated tampering, not a manufacturing defect. The culprit was never found, but the message was clear: there were forces at play, within or without, seeking to undermine Daedalus. This incident, however, was merely a precursor to a far more disturbing development. Just weeks before a crucial phase of internal systems integration, one of the leading astrophysicists, Dr. Eris Thorne, vanished. Thorne was a brilliant, reclusive genius, instrumental in refining the navigation algorithms for interstellar travel, a system so complex and sensitive that only a handful of individuals fully understood its intricacies. His disappearance sent shockwaves through the project. Initially, it was dismissed as an orbital accident, a tether failure during EVA, a depressurization incident in a remote lab. But no body was found, no distress beacon activated, no trace of a struggle. Security footage from his last known location was inexplicably corrupted for a critical 20-minute window. The official explanation was stress-related departure, but the whispers in the corridors and control rooms painted a darker picture. Was Thorne a casualty of the suspected sabotage? Was he coerced? Or had he, in a moment of despair or moral conflict, simply defected, taking invaluable data with him? The ambiguity was terrifying. Trust became a rare commodity. Every new face was regarded with suspicion, every familiar one with a touch of doubt. The hunt for Thorn consumed security resources, diverting attention from the build, further exacerbating delays and increasing costs. The very soul of Daedalus, its intellectual heart, felt vulnerable. Yet, despite these internal and external pressures, the relentless march of progress continued. The ship was approaching its moment of truth, a pivotal test that would either validate years of tireless effort or condemn the entire venture to failure, the main thruster ignition. This was more than just a test of propulsion, it was a test of Daedalus's very structural integrity, its power generation capacity, its ability to withstand the titanic forces it would unleash. For weeks, the vast orbital construction network had hummed with an even greater intensity, preparing for this singular event. Every conduit, every structural member, every safety system was checked and rechecked. Non-essential personnel were evacuated to auxiliary stations, leaving only a skeleton crew of engineers and technicians, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and anticipation, in the control rooms and observation posts. The moment arrived with an almost unbearable tension. Deep within the core of the Daedalus, the immense magnetic fields of the pulsed fusion drive began to cycle up. Power readings spiked across the station's enormous monitors. The entire orbital shipyard, a colossal framework of girders and docking clamps, vibrated with a low, resonant thrum, a sound that seemed to pass through bone as much as air. On the main view screens, the titanic engines of Daedalus, previously inert and silent, began to glow with an eerie, deep blue light, a nascent star attempting to be born. General Voss, standing beside the project director, Commander Eva Rostova, watched with bated breath, her hand unconsciously gripping the edge of the console. Ignition sequence initiated, a tense voice announced over the comms. A pause, thick with the weight of humanity's hopes and fears. Then, with an almost silent, yet utterly cataclysmic roar that traveled through the very structure of the shipyard, the main thrusters blazed to life. A colossal pillar of superheated plasma, brighter than 1,000 suns, erupted from the engine bells, momentarily overwhelming the external sensors. The entire orbital assembly shuddered violently, straining against its moorings. Alarms blared as minor system overloads were detected across the network. 4A. Main chapters 15 to 22, The Launch. Welcome back to Project Daedalus, our profound exploration into humanity's most ambitious endeavor. As we step into this pivotal fifth chapter, aptly titled The Launch, we are about to witness the culmination of decades of dreams, relentless effort, and immeasurable sacrifice. We stand on the precipice of an event that will redefine our place in the cosmos, a moment etched into the very fabric of human history. This segment, covering main chapters 15 to 22 of our journey, focuses entirely on that ultimate departure from Earth, a departure steeped in finality, exhilaration, and profound emotional weight. Our core concept for this extensive chapter is to fully immerse ourselves in the final countdown, to feel the raw, poignant emotional goodbyes shared between the intrepid crew and their loved ones, and to experience, with every fiber of our being, the sheer, unbridled power of the ultimate departure from our home planet. Are you ready to feel the ground tremble beneath your feet, to hear the roar that heralds a new age, to witness the brave souls ascend into the unknown? Let us first delve into the intricate art of building intense pacing as the launch window rapidly approaches. Imagine, if you will, the final 72 hours before liftoff. The atmosphere is thick with a palpable tension, a shimmering veil of anticipation that drapes itself over every individual involved, from the seasoned engineers in mission control to the solitary figure of the astronaut preparing for the journey of a lifetime. The days leading up to this moment are a blur of last-minute checks, redundant system verifications, and meticulously timed briefings. Every dial, every gauge, every single electrical connection is scrutinized, re-scrutinized, and then checked once more. The slightest anomaly, the most minute deviation, could spell disaster for a mission of this unprecedented scale and consequence. The very air vibrates with an unspoken urgency, a quiet hum that underlies every conversation, every instruction. Sleep becomes a luxury, eaten away by a restless energy and an acute awareness of the ticking clock. Each passing minute is not merely a segment of time, it is a dwindling resource, an irreplaceable commodity being spent on the threshold of destiny. The crew members, isolated in their sterile quarantine facilities, experience a unique blend of heightened focus and profound introspection. Their bodies are finely tuned instruments, their minds razor sharp, yet beneath the veneer of professional stoicism lies a swirling maelstrom of emotions. They revisit every training scenario, every emergency procedure, visualizing the complex dance of switches and readouts they will perform in mere hours. Yet, in the quiet solitude of their rooms, their thoughts inevitably drift, carried on currents of memory to the families they are about to leave behind forever. The weight of their mission, the weight of expectation, settles upon their shoulders like a physical mantle, heavy and unyielding. The sense of an impending, irreversible shift in their existence becomes overwhelmingly real. Consider the real-world storytelling example of the Apollo 11 mission. In the final hours before Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins launched towards the moon, the entire world held its breath. The narrative was not just about the technical brilliance, the engineering marvel, it was about the palpable human drama unfolding. Journalists meticulously documented the final moments of the crew's preparations, the last goodbyes, the silent prayers. The pacing in these historical accounts is always intense, emphasizing the convergence of countless human efforts, the scientists who theorized, the engineers who built, the thousands of technicians who maintained, and the 3 men who would sit atop a colossal rocket. Every update from mission control, every weather report, every technical readout became a point of dramatic tension. The countdown itself, slow and deliberate, then accelerating in those final precious seconds, became a universal rhythm, a shared heartbeat across the globe. This example resonates because it captures the essence of a high-stakes endeavor where every single component, every human action, and every second counts. It wasn't just a launch, it was a global psychological event, meticulously paced for maximum emotional impact. Psychologically, why does this intense build-up matter so profoundly to us, the observers, and to those directly involved? It taps into our innate human capacity for anticipation and our primal fear of the unknown. As the launch window approaches, the collective anxiety becomes a shared experience. For the crew and support teams, this period induces what psychologists call acute stress. While chronic stress is detrimental, acute stress, in controlled doses, can sharpen focus, enhance cognitive function, and prepare the body for peak performance. It triggers the fight or flight response, but in this context, it's more about focus and execute. The approaching deadline creates a phenomenon known as cognitive tunneling, where attention narrows to the most critical tasks, filtering out distractions. This is essential for the meticulous execution required. However, it also means suppressing broader emotional processing, holding complex feelings at bay until the immediate crisis of launch is over. We, as empathetic witnesses, are drawn into this psychological state. We experience a vicarious stress, a sympathetic tightening in our chests, because we understand the stakes. We project ourselves into the shoes of the astronauts, imagining their immense pressure, their disciplined resolve, and their underlying vulnerability. This process allows us to connect deeply with the narrative, to feel the weight of their responsibility and the courage required to face such an immense undertaking. It's an exploration of human limits, both physical and psychological. So, how can we apply this understanding of intense build-up to our own lives, to our own high-stakes projects or crucial deadlines? The practical application steps are quite clear. Firstly, recognize and acknowledge the build-up. Instead of letting anxiety overwhelm you, understand that the increased tension is a natural response to approaching a significant moment. Channel that energy. Secondly, break down your countdown into manageable, sequential tasks. Just as a rocket launch involves hundreds of distinct steps, your project can be deconced. Psychologically, why does this emotional weight resonate so deeply, and how do individuals cope with such monumental decisions? This aspect delves into the very core of human psychology: grief, acceptance, resilience, and the nature of sacrifice. The families experience what is known as anticipatory grief, mourning a loss that has not yet occurred but is certain to come. It's a complex emotional state, where love and sorrow intertwine. For the astronauts, the decision to leave is a conscious act of sacrifice, driven by an altruistic desire for human progress, exploration, and the advancement of knowledge. They grapple with survivor's guilt, leaving their loved ones behind, but also with a profound sense of purpose that transcends individual pain. The psychological mechanism of compartmentalization becomes critical here. They must, for a time, wall off their deepest emotions to perform their mission. However, these emotions don't disappear, they simply lie dormant, awaiting a safer time for processing. The strength required to look into the eyes of a loved one, knowing it's the last time, speaks volumes about human resilience and the capacity for immense emotional fortitude. It reveals a complex interplay of personal love and a higher calling, a poignant exploration of what truly matters to us as a species. The bittersweet joy of pursuing a grand purpose often comes at an unimaginable personal cost, and this chapter exposes that raw, vulnerable truth. It reminds us that even the most heroic acts are built on foundations of human love and an acceptance of inevitable loss. So, how do we navigate profound goodbyes in our own lives, even if they aren't for an interstellar journey? The practical application steps for listeners are deeply empathetic and universally relevant. Firstly, cherish every moment. This seemingly simple advice takes on profound meaning when confronted with finality. Actively engaging in the present, appreciating the time you have with loved ones, and creating lasting memories are invaluable. Secondly, express your love openly and without reservation. Don't leave words unsaid. Make sure your loved ones know exactly how you feel, how much they mean to you, and the depth of your connection. This communication provides comfort in moments of separation and leaves no room for regret. Thirdly, find strength in shared purpose or memory. Even after separation, the bonds remain. Focusing on the legacy, the shared values, or the future impact of a loved one's actions can provide solace. For the Daedalus crew's families, their purpose is intertwined with the mission itself. For us, it might be the shared dreams, the ongoing impact of a person's life, or the memories that continue to shape us. Fourthly, practice acceptance and resilience. Life is full of goodbyes, some temporary, some permanent. Learning to accept these changes, to grieve authentically, and to then find the strength to move forward, is a vital human capacity. Finally, remember that love transcends physical presence. The emotional connection, the impact a person has had on your life, and the memories you hold are not bound by distance or time. In moments of profound separation, understanding this can be a powerful source of comfort and enduring connection. Are you prepared to embrace these profound lessons in your own relationships, to truly live and love in the face of life's inevitable goodbyes? Now, with our hearts heavy yet filled with anticipation, we arrive at the third and final key point of this chapter, the launch sequence itself, described with high energy, concluding this narrative arc with an unforgettable crescendo. This is the moment where all the tension, all the sacrifice, all the preparation culminates in a breathtaking display of power and precision. The final countdown echoes through the loudspeakers in mission control, a voice, calm and measured, ticking away the last precious seconds. T-10, 9, 8. The entire launch vehicle, a towering monument to human ingenuity, shudders imperceptibly as internal systems calm. The story concludes not just with the rocket in the sky, but with the profound realization, humanity had achieved something truly extraordinary. Psychologically, why does witnessing such a launch sequence, even vicariously, have such a profound impact on us? It triggers a complex array of emotions: awe, triumph, relief, and a deep sense of collective effervescence. Awe, specifically, is a powerful emotion elicited by vastness and complexity, something that challenges our understanding of the world. A rocket launch, with its immense scale and intricate technology, perfectly embodies this. It makes us feel small yet connected to something much larger than ourselves. The triumph felt by the crew and mission control is echoed by every spectator. It's a shared victory, a testament to human endeavor. This collective effervescence, a term coined by sociologist Émile Durkheim, describes the sense of energy and enthusiasm that arises when people come together to achieve a common purpose. It reinforces social bonds and creates a shared sense of identity and purpose. After the intense build-up and the emotional goodbyes, the successful launch provides a massive release of tension, a cathartic burst of relief. It's the realization that the seemingly impossible has just been achieved, a breaking through of perceived limits. This experience taps into our innate desire for exploration and our human drive to overcome challenges, leaving us with a feeling of inspiration and renewed hope for what humanity can accomplish. It's a powerful reminder that our species is capable of extraordinary feats when united by a common vision. So, how can we find these moments of launch in our own lives, the feeling of breaking through, achieving a long-held goal, or starting a new, daunting chapter? The practical application steps for the listener are about recognizing and celebrating personal milestones and triumphs. Firstly, define your own liftoff moments. What are the projects, goals, or transitions in your life that demand a similar level of commitment and effort? Identify those pivotal points where everything comes together. Secondly, build your own countdown. Just as the Daedalus mission had meticulous phases, break your grand goals into smaller, actionable steps. Celebrate the completion of each stage, like a mini-engine ignition or a successful staging, to maintain momentum and morale. Thirdly, embrace the power of breakthrough. There will be moments where you feel immense pressure, where the task seems too big, where you might feel pinned back by challenges. This is your G-force moment. Push through it. Understand that often, the greatest breakthroughs come just after the point of maximum dynamic pressure. Fourthly, acknowledge your supporters. No launch is a solo effort. Recognize the people who believed in you, who helped you prepare, and who cheered you on. Share your triumph with them. Finally, take a moment to savor the orbit. Once you achieve a significant goal, don't immediately rush to the next. Allow yourself to float in the weightlessness of success, to look back at the earth of your efforts, and appreciate the journey and the accomplishment. This helps integrate the experience, build confidence, and prepare you for the next great adventure. Are you ready to recognize and launch into your own moments of personal triumph? In summary, this deep dive into chapters 15 to 22, The Launch, has been a journey through raw human emotion, relentless technical precision, and awe-inspiring power. We've explored the intense, almost unbearable pacing that marks the final countdown, understanding how critical every second becomes, and how the psychological landscape shifts under such pressure. We've lingered on the profound, heartbreaking emotional weight of the crew's final goodbyes, acknowledging the immense personal sacrifice inherent in such a monumental mission, and offering insights into how we navigate similar separations in our own lives. And finally, we've soared with the Daedalus as we meticulously described the launch sequence. Stage 1 propellant levels verified. Go for LOX topping. The meticulous checklist, honed over decades of space flight, was executed with an almost religious precision. There was no room for error, no second chances. A single anomaly, a flickering sensor, an errant gust of wind, could scrub the launch, delaying humanity's greatest gamble, perhaps indefinitely. The pressure was immense, a tangible entity in the control room, affecting everyone from the most junior technician to Volkov herself. Each go call was met with a collective, almost imperceptible exhalation of breath. When the call came for the crew to proceed to the transfer vehicle, it felt like an electric jolt. Their final steps on solid ground, taken under the watchful eyes of thousands, felt both mundane and monumental. The custom-built transport carried them slowly across the apron towards the launch pad, the enormity of the Daedalus growing with every meter. It wasn't just a rocket, it was a cathedral of steel and fire, an impossible dream made tangible. Looking up at it from below, its nose cone seemed to scratch the very fabric of the heavens, its immense booster bells pointed ominously towards the earth, ready to unleash a torrent of controlled fury. Inside the Daedalus command module, secured firmly in their custom-fitted seats, the explorers ran through their final internal checks. The comms crackled with a steady stream of technical jargon, a reassuring symphony of systems reporting readiness. Flight controls, you copy. Copy, Daedalus. Life support, all green for cabin pressurization. Green, Daedalus. Jax, at the commander's seat, his gaze sweeping over the console, gave a thumbs up. Daedalus crew nominal, ready for ingress. The hatch sealed with a final, resonant thud, severing their last physical link to their home planet. The world outside became distant, muffled. T-10 minutes and counting. The voice from mission control was crisp, devoid of any discernible emotion, yet it carried the weight of the universe. Rostova took a deep breath, the filtered air tasting faintly of ozone and anticipation. Kenji closed his eyes for a brief moment, picturing his daughter's face, a silent promise to remember. Lena reached out, her gloved hand resting momentarily on Jax's arm, a small gesture of camaraderie and shared fate. The internal lights of the cockpit glowed, painting their faces in an otherworldly amber. Each hum, each click, each faint vibration from the colossal machine beneath them was now amplified, the prelude to an unimaginable power. T-60 seconds. The final minute. A lifetime, an instant. Their hearts hammered against their ribs, a primal rhythm mirroring the countdown. Their training kicked in, an automatic response to the adrenaline coursing through their veins, yet beneath the disciplined exterior, a profound understanding settled. This was it. The point of no return. Main engine start sequence initiated. A low growl, barely perceptible at first, began to build from deep within the starship's core. Ignition sequence commence. Then, the world erupted. Not with a bang, but with a colossal, seismic roar that tore through the very air, rattling bones and shaking the entire structure. The starship vibrated violently, a living beast awakening. Through the small, reinforced viewports, a blinding white light erupted, a scorching pillar of fire that lit up the pre-dawn sky, turning night into an artificial day. We have ignition. Volkov's voice, now tinged with triumph, boomed through their comms. The Daedalus strained against its hold-down clamps, a leviathan struggling to break free. The G-forces began to press down, pushing them deep into their seats, their bodies momentarily heavy, anchored to the surging power below. T-0. Liftoff. Liftoff of Project Daedalus. The cheer from Mission Control was a raw, primal cry of collective exultation and relief. Slowly, majestically, the Daedalus began its ascent, a roaring pillar of flame and smoke clawing its way skyward. The vibrations intensified, a full-body ASA. 7-day action plan. Welcome, esteemed listener, to Chapter 6 of Project Daedalus. As we journey deeper into the heart of innovation and sustained achievement, we arrive at perhaps the most pivotal juncture of our exploration, the 7-day action plan. For too long, the grand narratives of human endeavor, of moonshot ambitions and paradigm-shifting inventions, have been relegated to the realm of myth or genius, seeming utterly out of reach for the everyday individual. Project Daedalus, however, aims to demystify this process, to illuminate the fundamental principles that underpin monumental success, and to present them not as esoteric secrets, but as accessible, actionable steps. Our core mission in this chapter is precisely that, to translate the compelling themes of innovation and perseverance, which we have meticulously uncovered in the preceding chapters, into a practical, week-long roadmap for you, the listener. Think back to Daedalus himself, the master craftsman. His greatest triumph, the escape from the labyrinth with his son Icarus, wasn't born from a sudden flash of divine inspiration alone. It was the culmination of meticulous observation, rigorous planning, painstaking material acquisition, iterative design, and the unwavering resolve to see his vision through, even in the face of unimaginable adversity and grief. He didn't just think about flying, he engineered it, feather by feather, wax by wax, with an acute understanding of physics and human anatomy. This 7-day action plan is your personal Daedalus blueprint. It's designed to help you take that colossal, perhaps even terrifyingly ambitious, moonshot goal you harbor within your heart, be it a professional aspiration, a creative magnum opus, a significant personal transformation, or a world-changing invention, and break it down into digestible, manageable components. The very essence of perseverance lies not in an unwavering, ceaseless push towards a distant horizon, but in the intelligent, disciplined execution of sequential, smaller steps, each building upon the last. Innovation, too, is rarely a singular eureka moment, it is more often a deliberate process of problem identification, iterative solution development, testing, learning, and refining. So, how do we bridge the gap between the monumental tales of Project Daedalus and your immediate reality? We do so by adopting a philosophy of bounded action. We recognize that the sheer scale of a moonshot can be paralyzing. The human mind, when confronted with an infinitely complex problem, often defaults to inaction, overwhelmed by the enormity of the task ahead. Our 7-day plan counters this paralysis by introducing specific, time-constrained objectives, designed to foster momentum, build confidence, and provide tangible progress markers. It's about transforming the abstract into the concrete, the dream into the demonstrable, the impossible into the imminent. This isn't just about ticking boxes, it's about cultivating a mindset. It's about learning to embrace uncertainty, to view setbacks not as failures but as valuable data points, and to systematically build the psychological fortitude required for any long-term endeavor. We will guide you through the initial, often daunting, phase of defining your vision, then show you how to strategically gather the resources and support necessary, and finally, empower you to take that critical first leap into execution, all within a focused 7-day cycle. Consider this chapter your foundational launchpad, providing the structural integrity and initial thrust for your very own flight of ingenuity. Are you ready to embark on this transformative journey, to begin engineering your own escape from the labyrinth of inaction and doubt? Let us begin. Our journey through this 7-day action plan commences with a foundational, yet profoundly impactful, 2-day sprint. Day 1 to 2, identify your personal moonshot goal and draft a basic blueprint. This initial phase is about clarity and commitment. It's where the nebulous yearning in your heart begins to take on shape and form, moving from a mere flicker of possibility to a defined, albeit still nascent, objective. Why 2 days? Because truly identifying a moonshot goal isn't a snap decision, it requires introspection, courage, and a willingness to confront both your deepest desires and your underlying fears. And drafting a basic blueprint, even a rudimentary one, immediately shifts your mindset from passive dreaming to active planning. Let's delve into a real-world storytelling example to illustrate the power of this initial phase. Consider Anya, a brilliant but perpetually overwhelmed software engineer who, for years, harbored a profound dissatisfaction with the pervasive issue of food waste. She dreamed of creating a technological solution that could significantly reduce it, perhaps by connecting surplus food from restaurants and grocery stores directly with local charities and individuals in need. For a long time, this was just a nagging thought, an idealistic musing that she dismissed as too big or too complicated for her to tackle alone, especially given her demanding full-time job. It was her personal moonshot, obscured by a fog of self-doubt and the sheer scale of the problem. One weekend, spurred by a particularly disheartening news report on global food insecurity contrasted with local food waste, Anya decided to dedicate these 2 crucial days to truly defining her moonshot. She started by journaling every single thought, every fear, every wild idea associated with her goal. She asked herself, what would a truly successful solution look like? How would it feel to achieve it? What specific impact would it have? Her initial answers were sprawling and unspecific: stop food waste, help people. But as she pressed on, refining her thoughts, she began to articulate something more concrete: develop an intuitive mobile application that seamlessly. This is about capturing the raw essence of your ambition before you try to constrain it. Step 2. Crystallize your moonshot goal. From the brain dump, distill the core essence of your ambition into a concise, powerful statement. This isn't just a wish, it's a declaration of intent. Aim for a statement that is inspiring, specific enough to be understood, yet broad enough to allow for flexibility in execution. For instance, instead of "be happy," it might be "cultivate a thriving micro-farm that provides sustainable produce to my local community and creates 3 full-time jobs." Or, write and publish a fantasy novel series that reimagines ancient myths for a modern audience, inspiring readers to embrace their inner hero. This statement should resonate deeply with you. Test it. Does it excite you? Does it feel almost impossibly grand, but in an exhilarating way? This is your North Star. Step 3. Articulate your why. Alongside your moonshot goal, spend time articulating the profound reasons behind it. Why does this matter to you? What values does it uphold? What impact do you envision, both for yourself and for others? This why is your emotional fuel, your resilience engine. When the inevitable challenges arise, it's this deep-seated purpose that will prevent you from giving up. Write it down, make it explicit. It's the difference between merely building wings and building wings to escape a prison for the sake of freedom and family. Step 4. Draft your basic blueprint, the napkin sketch. Now, with your clarified moonshot and your compelling why, begin to sketch out the absolute highest level components or phases required to achieve it. This is not a detailed project plan, it's more like a mind map or a bulleted list of the major milestones. For example, if your moonshot is to launch a nonprofit, your blueprint might include: secure initial funding, develop legal structure, build founding team, pilot program design, launch public awareness campaign. If it's to write a book, outline, first draft, editing, agent search, publication. Think in terms of what are the absolute critical, major steps, even if you don't know how you'll accomplish them yet. This is about identifying the mountains, not detailing the hiking trails. Step 5. Identify your minimum viable first step. Within this basic blueprint, pinpoint the absolute smallest, most digestible, and most impactful action you can take right now to begin moving towards your moonshot. This isn't the whole project, it's the very first feather for Daedalus's wing. It might be research 3 potential funding sources, or outline the first 5 chapters, or contact one expert in the field. This initial step is designed to be completed very soon, perhaps even in the next few days, to build immediate momentum. It's about creating an entry point, however small, into the vastness of your grand vision. By the end of day 2, you should possess a clear, compelling statement of your moonshot, a profound understanding of its purpose, a high-level map of its major phases, and a defined, actionable first step. This foundational work is often overlooked, but it is precisely what distinguishes those who merely dream from those who dare to build their dreams into reality. You are no longer just imagining, you are beginning the process of engineering. Moving swiftly from the foundational work of vision and initial planning, we now enter a crucial 3-day phase that emphasizes external engagement and proactive problem solving. This is where your personal project Daedalus moves beyond individual contemplation and begins to interact with the larger world. Day 3 to 5. Assemble your support network and troubleshoot potential roadblocks. This segment of your 7-day action plan is fundamentally about recognizing that no significant endeavor, especially a moonshot, is ever accomplished in isolation. Even Daedalus, in his solitary confinement, relied on the natural world for his materials and had his son Icarus as his co-pilot, however tragic their journey became. Your diverse input forces you to challenge your assumptions, leading to more robust and comprehensive solutions. It's the collective intelligence effect, amplifying your individual capacity by orders of magnitude. The act of proactively troubleshooting potential roadblocks is also a powerful psychological tool. It transforms nebulous anxieties into concrete, manageable problems. When we worry about everything that could go wrong, our minds often conjure catastrophic, undefined scenarios, leading to overwhelming fear and inaction. By systematically identifying specific roadblocks and brainstorming solutions, we bring these fears into the light, allowing the rational mind to engage. This process, often referred to as pre-mortem analysis or contingency planning, significantly reduces anxiety and increases feelings of control. It shifts your brain from a reactive, panic state to a proactive, problem-solving one. You're not waiting for disaster to strike, you're anticipating it and preparing your defenses. This builds psychological resilience, reinforcing the belief that you can overcome obstacles, which is a cornerstone of perseverance. It's about building mental maps of potential storms, so you aren't caught entirely unawares. Moreover, articulating potential problems to others, especially those in your support network, can also provide external validation and new perspectives on solutions you hadn't considered. Sometimes, simply hearing yourself vocalize a fear can diminish its power, and often, another person's fresh eyes can quickly offer a simple, elegant solution you had overlooked due to your proximity to the problem. It's about leveraging not just your own problem-solving capacity, but the collective wisdom of your chosen community, much like Daedalus might have consulted with other master artisans, had he the freedom to do so, to refine his flight mechanics. Now, let's detail the practical application steps for you over these 3 critical days. Step 1. Conduct a skill and knowledge audit. On day 3, begin by honestly assessing your own strengths, weaknesses, and knowledge gaps related to your moonshot. What are you exceptionally good at? What critical skills or areas of expertise are you lacking? Be brutal in your honesty. For example, if your moonshot involves complex data analysis but you're a marketing guru, identify data analysis expertise as a gap. This audit is crucial for determining who you need in your network. Step 2. Map your support network. Based on your audit, identify the different types of support you'll need: mentors, individuals with significant experience in your field or in achieving similar moonshots; specialists, experts in specific areas where you have gaps, example legal, finance, marketing, technical; accountability partners, peers who are also pursuing ambitious goals and can provide mutual support and gentle pressure; cheerleaders, friends and family who believe in you and will offer emotional encouragement; peer groups/communities, online forums, professional associations, or local meetups where you can share ideas and gain insights. List specific names, if you have them, or general categories if you need to seek them out. Step 3. Initiate outreach with intent. For day 4, begin reaching out to identified individuals. Craft thoughtful, concise messages. Remember, you're not asking for a lifetime commitment or free labor, you're asking for a brief conversation, advice, or an introduction. Start with people you know or those in your immediate network. Frame your request clearly: I'm embarking on a project to briefly state moonshot, and I deeply admire your expertise in their area of expertise. I was hoping you might spare 15 to 20 minutes for a brief call to offer some initial insights, as I value your perspective immensely. Always be prepared to offer value in return, even if it's just a heartfelt thank you and an update on your progress. Step 4. Proactive roadblock brainstorming. Also on day 4, dedicate a focused session to brainstorming every conceivable obstacle or challenge. She had only a handful of UPS and mostly positive comments from friends, but one expert from her network provided invaluable feedback on the legal complexities of food handling she hadn't considered. This feedback, however small, was gold. She recorded every piece of input, categorized it, and made notes on how it would inform her next steps. By the end of day 7, Anya had tangible proof of her idea interacting with the real world, and a clear, data-driven direction for the next phase of her moonshot. She wasn't flying yet, but she had definitely taken a running leap and was beginning to get lift. Let's dissect the psychological significance of this execution and review phase. Firstly, the imperative to execute your first major launch phase is a direct antidote to analysis paralysis, one of the most insidious enemies of innovation. We can plan indefinitely, refining strategies and anticipating every possible variable, but until we put something out into the world, our ideas remain untested hypotheses. The act of execution builds immense momentum and shatters the inertia that often holds us captive. It shifts our cognitive state from passive contemplation to active creation, fostering a sense of accomplishment and self-efficacy. There's an inherent psychological reward in seeing a tangible output of your efforts, however small, reinforcing the belief that you are capable of making progress towards your grand vision. It's the moment Daedalus attached the first feather, seeing his vision take physical form. Secondly, and perhaps most crucially, this launch phase provides invaluable feedback from the real world. Our internal models and assumptions, however well-reasoned, are almost always incomplete or flawed. By putting an MVP or an early iteration out there, you expose your idea to external scrutiny and genuine user interaction. This immediate feedback loop is critical for learning and adaptation. It allows you to fail fast and learn cheap, meaning you can identify fundamental flaws or misassumptions early in the process, before investing significant resources. This process embraces the iterative nature of innovation, where progress is made not through perfection, but through continuous cycles of building, testing, learning, and refining. Psychologically, this approach reduces the pressure of perfectionism, which can be paralyzing. It redefines failure not as an end point, but as a source of essential data for improvement, fostering a resilient, growth-oriented mindset. Finally, the deliberate review your progress step solidifies the learning. Without reflection, even the most profound experiences can fade without leaving lasting lessons. The review phase forces conscious processing of outcomes, both positive and negative. It helps to objectively assess what worked, what didn't, and most importantly, why. This metacognitive process strengthens neural pathways related to problem solving and strategic thinking. It provides a structured opportunity for course correction, preventing you from blindly continuing down an unproductive path. It closes the loop of action and learning, preparing you for the next iteration and ensuring that every step, however small, contributes meaningfully to the overall journey. This self-reflection reinforces your agency and control over your moonshot, reminding you that you are not just a recipient of circumstance, but an active architect of your destiny. It's the essential moment of Daedalus adjusting his designs based on the weight of the feathers, the strength of the wax, and the lift provided by his initial tests. Now, let's detail the practical application steps for you over these final 2 action-packed days. Step 1. Define your minimum viable launch. On day 6, revisit your minimum viable first step from day 2 and expand it into a minimum viable launch. This is the smallest, most significant public-facing action you can take to move your moonshot forward and gather real feedback. For a book writer, this might be publishing a short story related to the book's university. You understood that no great feat is achieved alone, leveraging cognitive diversity, emotional support, and the power of collective intelligence. Psychologically, this phase transformed nebulous anxieties into concrete problems with preliminary solutions, bolstering your resilience and shifting your mindset from reactive fear to proactive preparedness. Finally, on day 6 and 7, you moved from planning to crucial execution, launching your first major phase and meticulously reviewing your progress. This was the moment of action, battling analysis paralysis head-on, gathering invaluable real-world feedback, and embracing the iterative nature of innovation. Psychologically, this built momentum, fostered a growth mindset by reframing failures as learning opportunities, and closed the crucial feedback loop for continuous improvement. This 7-day action plan is not a one-time event. It is a template, a cyclical process that you can, and indeed should, repeat week after week. Each cycle will bring new insights, new challenges, and new triumphs, propelling you closer to your moonshot. Just as Daedalus continuously refined his understanding of aerodynamics and material science with each observation, you too will iterate, learn, and grow with every step. You have now laid the essential foundation, taken that critical first flight, however small. You are no longer just dreaming of wings, you are building them, testing them, and learning to soar. The journey ahead is undoubtedly long and will be filled with both headwinds and tailwinds. But you now possess a proven methodology, a systematic approach to turning the seemingly impossible into a series of achievable next steps. The spirit of Daedalus lives within you, the innovator, the perseverer, the builder of tomorrow. As we conclude this chapter on the immediate action plan, we set the stage for our next exploration, where we will delve even deeper into the intricacies of sustained motivation and the cultivation of an unshakable mindset, ensuring that the momentum you've built this week continues to carry you forward. You have begun the flight. Now, let us learn how to navigate the skies for the long haul. Summary. Welcome back, intrepid explorers of the cosmos and the human spirit. As we draw our journey through the detailed design and ambitious undertaking that is Project Daedalus to a close, we arrive at this pivotal moment. Chapter 7, Summary. This isn't merely a factual recap, it is an invitation to reflect, to consolidate the immense tapestry of innovation, challenge, and triumph we have collectively unfurled over these preceding 22 chapters. Our aim now is to provide a satisfying emotional and thematic wrap-up, allowing the sheer scale and profound implications of this endeavor to truly sink in, to resonate within your very being. Think of this summary not as an ending, but as a deep breath taken at the summit of a monumental peak, allowing us to fully appreciate the arduous climb, the breathtaking vistas, and the boundless horizons that now stretch before us. We've delved into the minutiae of fusion drive performance, agonized over radiation shielding protocols, and celebrated the breakthroughs in closed-loop ecosystem design. We've grappled with the psychological complexities of long-duration spaceflight and pondered the ethical responsibilities of interstellar expansion. Each chapter, each meticulous detail, was a thread woven into the fabric of Project Daedalus. Now, we step back to admire the completed tapestry, to feel its texture, to grasp its immense weight and significance. This is where the factual knowledge transforms into a visceral understanding, where data points coalesce into a grand narrative of human potential. The core concept we are embracing today is that of providing a satisfying emotional and thematic wrap-up of the entire audiobook. Why is this so crucial? Why is it not enough to simply list the achievements? Because humans are not just logical beings, we are creatures of emotion, driven by stories, inspired by struggle, and uplifted by triumph. A truly effective summary, especially for a project as grand as Daedalus, must transcend mere information transfer. It must evoke the feelings of awe, trepidation, hope, and determination that permeated every stage of this undertaking. It must connect with your deeper sense of wonder and possibility. Consider for a moment the storytelling genius of classic epics, from Homer's Odyssey to the modern sagas that capture our imaginations. At their conclusion, the audience isn't merely told what happened, they are made to feel the weight of the journey, the transformation of the characters, the enduring lessons learned. Think of the final moments of a beloved film, where the musical score swells, key images flash across the screen, and the protagonist, fundamentally changed, looks out towards a new dawn. This isn't just exposition, it's emotional catharsis. It's the culmination of shared experience, solidifying the journey's meaning. From a psychological perspective, this emotional wrap-up is vital for several reasons. Firstly, it offers cognitive closure. Our brains naturally seek to organize information into coherent narratives. An emotionally satisfying ending provides that crucial sense of completeness, preventing a lingering feeling of unresolved tension or fragmentation. Secondly, it reinforces memory and learning. When information is tied to strong emotions, it is far more likely to be retained and deeply understood. The feeling of triumph associated with overcoming a technological hurdle, or the quiet reverence inspired by the contemplation of a distant star, makes those facts stick in a way that dry recitation never could. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, it fuels inspiration. By tapping into our emotions, the summary chapter can ignite our own ambitions, reminding us of the extraordinary feats that human beings are capable of, not just in the realm of space travel, but in any challenging endeavor we might pursue. It leaves us with a sense of uplift, a belief in our collective capacity for greatness. So, How do we practically apply this understanding to our own lives, even when we aren't building an interstellar vessel? The lesson here is each component, from the injector system delivering the fuel pellets to the magnetic nozzle directing the plasma exhaust, represented a pinnacle of engineering, honed through countless simulations and experimental failures, each setback leading to a deeper understanding, a more elegant solution. And then there was the energy generation itself, not just for propulsion, but for sustaining the entire vessel for decades. Remember the discussions in Chapter 6 about the onboard antimatter production plant? A truly futuristic concept, designed to provide the initial kick, the immense energy needed for the fusion reaction to ignite and to provide supplementary power. The challenges of safely producing, storing, and containing antimatter, even in minute quantities, were profound. We discussed the magnetic traps, the vacuum integrity, and the intricate safety protocols developed to prevent catastrophic annihilation events. This was not merely engineering, it was pioneering work at the very edge of theoretical physics, bridging the gap between theory and practical application. Consider, too, the radiation shielding, a silent, yet absolutely critical guardian of the ship and its crew. Chapter 8 detailed the multi-layered defenses, the thick hydrogen-rich materials for neutron attenuation, the electromagnetic fields deflecting charged particles, and the strategically placed water tanks serving dual purposes for shielding and life support. We grappled with the cosmic ray problem, the ceaseless barrage of high-energy particles from distant supernovae, a threat to both human health and delicate electronics. The development of self-repairing, smart materials capable of detecting and mitigating radiation damage in real time was a testament to our relentless pursuit of safety and resilience. Imagine the computational power needed to model these complex interactions, to optimize every millimeter of shielding for maximum protection with minimal mass. Life support systems, as detailed in Chapter 11, represented another monumental triumph. For decades of interstellar travel, a fully closed-loop ecosystem was not just desirable, it was absolutely essential. We learned about the sophisticated bioregenerative systems, algae farms for oxygen production and waste recycling, hydroponic gardens providing fresh food and water purification, and complex bacterial cultures breaking down organic waste into reusable nutrients. The challenge wasn't just creating these systems, but making them robust, redundant, and self-sustaining for generations. What happens if a critical component fails after 20 years of flight? The design required multiple layers of redundancy, self-diagnosing AI, and protocols for human intervention and repair in an environment of extreme isolation. It was a miniature world, meticulously engineered to thrive independently. Navigation and communication, as discussed in chapters 14 and 15, presented problems of astronomical proportions. How do you accurately guide a ship traveling at a significant fraction of the speed of light towards a distant star system, accounting for gravitational perturbations, stellar drift, and unforeseen obstacles? The answer lay in a sophisticated blend of AI autonomy, deep space optical interferometry, and a hyper-accurate inertial navigation system. Communication over light years, with signals taking years or even decades to reach home, necessitated new paradigms. Quantum entanglement communication, though still theoretical for practical data transfer, was explored as a potential long-term solution, alongside highly directional laser communication arrays capable of focusing beams across vast cosmic distances. The psychological impact of these communication delays, the sense of profound isolation, was itself a hurdle to be addressed in crew training and psychological support. These are just a few examples. We also explored asteroid mining strategies in Chapter 5 for resource acquisition on the journey, the intricate robotics for autonomous repairs and external construction in CH. This brings us to our second crucial point, reiterating the overarching message of human resilience and ambition. If the technological triumphs were the bricks of Daedalus, then resilience and ambition were the mortar, binding everything together, providing the strength and the will to build. This project was never just about engineering, it was fundamentally a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. Think back to the initial spark that ignited Project Daedalus. It wasn't a sudden discovery of warp drive, it was a slow, persistent burning desire to know what lies beyond, to expand our reach, to ensure the long-term survival and evolution of our species. This ambition, this forward-looking vision, permeated every aspect of the project. It was the ambition to transcend planetary limitations, to sail the cosmic seas. And underpinning that ambition was an extraordinary resilience, the capacity to endure setbacks, to persevere through years, even decades, of research and development without immediate gratification, to face down skepticism, and to keep pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Consider the human element that we touched upon in chapters 17 and 18. The selection and training of the Daedalus crew, representing the pinnacle of human adaptability and psychological fortitude, was a critical aspect of the project. Imagine the immense pressure, the understanding that your mission would span generations, that you might never return, that the future of humanity's interstellar presence rested on your shoulders. Yet, individuals volunteered, driven by an unshakable ambition and a profound sense of purpose. This wasn't merely bravery, it was a deep, abiding belief in the value of the endeavor, a willingness to make extraordinary sacrifices for a future that they might only glimpse through the eyes of their descendants. The resilience here wasn't just about physical endurance, it was about mental fortitude, emotional intelligence, and the capacity for profound altruism. We discussed the iterative nature of the project development, the countless failed prototypes, the simulated catastrophic events, the design flaws that were discovered only after years of work. Each of these could have been a reason to abandon the project, to declare it too difficult, too expensive, too risky. Yet, the human spirit, fueled by an unwavering ambition, chose to see these not as failures, but as challenges to be overcome, as opportunities for refinement and innovation. This iterative process, This relentless pursuit of improvement in the face of adversity is the very definition of resilience. It's the ability to bounce back, not just to the original state, but often to a stronger, more refined one. It's the tenacity to keep going when all the data suggests you should stop, because the vision, the ambition, is just too compelling. For a powerful real-world storytelling example of human resilience and ambition, we need look no further than the remarkable story of the Voyager probes. Launched in 1977, these twin spacecraft were initially designed for a 5-year mission to study Jupiter and Saturn. Yet, driven by the ambition to explore the outer solar system and beyond, and sustained by the resilience of the engineers who continued to find ways to keep them operating decades past their prime, Voyager 1 and 2 became humanity's first interstellar emissaries. They adapted, they endured, they continue to transmit data even today, more than 46 years later, from the frigid emptiness of interstellar space. Their journey wasn't without its challenges. Failing components, limited power, and the sheer vastness of space have constantly tested the ingenuity of their mission teams. Yet, engineers have repeatedly found clever workarounds, writing new software for ancient hardware, making every watt of power count, and extending the lifespan of these robotic explorers far beyond anyone's wildest dreams. The Voyagers embody both a staggering ambition to reach the unknown and an astonishing resilience in the face of ennui. This is the ultimate ambition, not just to visit, but to become a part of the greater cosmic tapestry. What does it mean for humanity to truly become an interstellar species? It means diversifying our footprint, safeguarding our future against any single planetary catastrophe, and perhaps, evolving in ways we cannot yet imagine. The Daedalus project is a commitment to a long-term vision for humanity, one that stretches beyond the immediate concerns of a single planet to encompass the vast potential of the entire galaxy. It is a declaration that our species is not content to simply observe the universe from afar. We are destined to explore it, to understand it, and perhaps, to add our own unique light to its infinite darkness. This is not the end of a story, but the thrilling beginning of countless new ones. To provide a real-world storytelling example for this poetic thought on what lies ahead, consider the ancient Polynesian navigators. For centuries, these remarkable people sailed vast stretches of the Pacific Ocean in double-hulled canoes, guided by the stars, the currents, and the flight of birds. They were not merely exploring, they were purposefully expanding their civilization, seeking new islands to settle, carrying their entire culture, plants, animals, traditions, and knowledge, with them. The deep, dark ocean was not a barrier but a highway to new possibilities. Each new island discovered was a new beginning, a fresh canvas upon which to build their societies. Their journey wasn't about returning home but about forging a new home, carrying the legacy of their ancestors into an unknown future. The emotional resonance of their voyage, the mixture of courage, hope, and the profound uncertainty of what lay beyond the horizon, mirrors the spirit of Project Daedalus. They left the familiar behind, not in fear, but in pursuit of expansion and enduring legacy. Psychologically, delivering a final, poetic thought on what lies ahead in the deep dark of space is crucial because it taps into our innate sense of wonder, our existential curiosity, and our desire for meaning beyond our immediate existence. Humans are natural explorers, driven by a deep-seated need to understand the unknown and to push against perceived boundaries. The contemplation of interstellar travel and the profound mysteries of the cosmos provides an outlet for this primal urge. It sparks imagination, fosters a sense of awe, and reminds us of our place in the grand scheme of things, both incredibly small and yet potentially significant. This type of reflective thought also addresses our yearning for immortality, not necessarily individually, but as a species, as a legacy that extends far beyond the lifespan of any single person or civilization. It gives our present struggles and achievements a larger context, imbuing them with a cosmic significance that can be incredibly motivating and comforting. It speaks to our spiritual side, to that part of us that seeks connection with something greater than ourselves, even if that something is the silent, boundless majesty of the universe itself. 4 practical application steps derived from this profound reflection. Consider how you can apply a similar sense of long-term vision and poetic ambition to your own life's journey. Firstly, cultivate a sense of awe and wonder in your everyday existence. The universe is full of mysteries, not just light years away, but right here on Earth, in the intricate workings of nature, in the complexity of human relationships, in the profound beauty of art and music. Take time to look up at the night sky, to read about scientific discoveries, to marvel at the achievements of others. This practice can fuel your own curiosity and keep your spirit of exploration alive. Secondly, think about your own legacy. What kind of message in a bottle do you want to send into the future, whether it's through your work, your relationships, your creative endeavors, or the values you instill in others? Project Daedalus is a multi-generational legacy project. Consider how your actions today see. The challenge wasn't just generating that power, but sustaining it for decades, managing its immense heat, and extracting the last possible joule of energy from every precious kilogram of fuel. This wasn't merely a feat of physics, it was a symphony of engineering, where every component had to perform flawlessly under conditions that would tear apart anything less than the most perfectly conceived and constructed machinery. And then there were the shields, not just a simple layer of metal, but a multi-layered defense system capable of safeguarding the ship and its precious cargo from hypervelocity dust grains, cosmic rays, and the myriad invisible dangers lurking in the interstellar medium. Imagine the materials science involved. Alloys strong enough to withstand impacts at orbital velocities, yet light enough not to cripple the ship's acceleration, superconductors to manage energy flow, smart materials that could self-repair microscopic damage over vast stretches of empty space. These weren't breakthroughs born of a single genius, but the result of global collaboration, cross-disciplinary innovation, and an unwavering commitment to problem-solving that spanned generations of scientists and engineers. Consider the life support systems, an entirely closed ecosystem designed to sustain human life not for days or months, but for centuries. This wasn't just about recycling air and water, it was about creating a miniature world, perfectly balanced, resilient, and adaptable. From genetically engineered algae to advanced waste recycling, from sophisticated atmospheric scrubbers to artificial gravity systems designed to mitigate the effects of long-term microgravity, every single element represented a monumental leap forward in our understanding of biology, ecology, and engineering. It was a painstaking effort to replicate the conditions of Earth, but within the confines of a starship, a testament to humanity's desire not just to survive, but to thrive, even in the most alien of environments. Navigation and communication, across distances measured not in kilometers but in light years, posed another set of seemingly insurmountable hurdles. How do you guide a ship to a destination that won't even be visible for decades, accounting for stellar drift and gravitational anomalies? How do you send and receive messages across such vast gulfs of space and time, knowing that a single response could take years to arrive? The solutions involved revolutionary advances in quantum communication, autonomous AI systems capable of course corrections and data analysis, and an unparalleled understanding of astrophysics. It was a profound exercise in delayed gratification, a long-term vision demanding patience and trust across unimaginable distances. Each of these challenges, taken individually, represented a moonshot endeavor. Taken together, they formed a mountain range of technical problems that seemed insurmountable. Yet, we overcame them. Not through magic, but through meticulous planning, relentless experimentation, and the sheer, stubborn will of humanity. Project Daedalus wasn't built by a single nation, or a single ideology. It was a project of Earth, a unified endeavor that transcended borders and petty squabbles, bringing together the brightest minds and the most dedicated hands from every corner of the globe. It proved that when faced with a grand enough vision, our species is capable of astounding unity and unparalleled ingenuity. This is the enduring message of Daedalus, not just that we can reach the stars, but that the journey itself transforms us. It forces us to innovate, to collaborate, to look beyond our immediate concerns and envision a future far grander than ourselves. It reminds us that our greatest strength lies in our collective ambition, our shared curiosity, and our insatiable desire to push the boundaries of knowledge and experience. The resilience wasn't just in the materials that withstood the rigors of space, but in the human spirit that persevered through countless failures, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Every RI. Call to action. Hello again, intrepid voyager, and welcome to what I believe is one of the most crucial and exciting segments of our journey together, here at the conclusion of Project Daedalus. We've traversed vast intellectual landscapes, delved into the intricacies of interstellar propulsion, pondered the colossal challenges of deep space colonization, and dared to dream of humanity's future amongst the stars. You've journeyed with me through the detailed blueprints, the theoretical constructs, and the audacious spirit that defines Project Daedalus. But, as with any grand expedition, the true significance often lies not just in the destination, but in the connections forged along the way, and in the preparations for the voyages yet to come. This chapter, perhaps more than any other, is not merely a conclusion to a narrative, it is an invitation. An invitation for you, the thoughtful listener, to step beyond the role of passive observer and become an active participant in the ongoing story of human ingenuity, scientific exploration, and community building. This is our call to action, an earnest request for you to engage, to connect, and to help shape the future trajectory of these ideas, and indeed, of this very creative endeavor. You see, a book, especially one that ventures into the realm of speculative science and grand human ambition like Project Daedalus, is never truly complete when the author types the final word. Its life truly begins when it reaches the minds and hearts of its audience. It is in your contemplation, your discussions, your critiques, and your shared enthusiasm that the concepts within these pages truly take flight. Just as Project Daedalus itself was envisioned as a collaborative undertaking, requiring the combined brilliance of countless minds, so too is the ongoing exploration of these ideas a collective enterprise. We've spent hours together, unraveling complex problems, imagining breathtaking solutions, and contemplating the sheer audacity required to launch humanity's first true starship. Think back to the moment a particular concept sparked your imagination, or a challenge presented itself as almost insurmountable, only for a clever solution to emerge. Did you find yourself mentally sketching your own improvements to the Daedalus design? Did you imagine yourself on board, gazing back at our pale blue dot, or forward into the unknown? These are the moments of genuine connection, the points where the narrative transcends mere information and becomes a shared experience. My deepest desire, as your guide through this ambitious project, is to foster a vibrant community around these explorations. I want to hear your insights. I want to understand what resonated with you most profoundly. What burning questions remain in your mind? What aspect of Project Daedalus captivated you beyond all others? This isn't just about me, the author, disseminating information, it's about initiating a dialogue, cultivating a shared space where enthusiasm for science, engineering, and the ultimate human adventure can flourish. Your engagement isn't just a courtesy, it's the very lifeblood that nourishes future creative endeavors, fuels further research, and expands the reach of these crucial conversations. It transforms a solitary listening experience into a collaborative intellectual journey. So, are you ready to take the next step, to move from listener to participant, from audience member to fellow explorer? Let's chart that course together. Now, let's explore three distinct, yet interconnected, pathways through which you can actively participate and truly make a difference, contributing to the vibrant tapestry of the Project Daedalus community and beyond. Each of these actions, though seemingly small, carries profound weight and offers unique benefits, both for you and for the continued evolution of these ideas. First, and perhaps most immediately impactful, I invite you to take a moment to leave a star rating and, if you feel so inclined, a brief review on the audio platform where you are currently enjoying Project Daedalus. You might be thinking, a review? What difference could my single voice possibly make amidst countless others? But allow me to illustrate just how profoundly significant your individual contribution is, far beyond what you might initially imagine. Consider the journey of a budding independent filmmaker, fresh out of film school, with a passion project poured from their soul onto the screen. They've spent years honing their craft, sacrificing comfort, and overcoming innumerable obstacles to bring their vision to life. Their film, perhaps a groundbreaking documentary on sustainable energy or a thought-provoking sci-fi short, finally premieres at a small festival. For this artist, every single word of feedback, every single star rating, acts as a crucial barometer, a vital sign that their message is resonating. A handful of enthusiastic reviews, especially early on, can be the sole catalyst that propels their film from obscurity to wider recognition, catching the eye of distributors, critics, or even larger streaming platforms. One person's heartfelt testimonial can be the spark that ignites a wider conversation, drawing in new viewers who might otherwise never have discovered that hidden gem. It's not just about ego, it's about survival, about validation, and about reaching the audience that truly needs to experience their work. Without those early, genuine expressions of appreciation, many brilliant voices might simply fade away, unheard. From a psychological perspective, the act of leaving a rating and review taps into several powerful human drivers. Firstly, there's the principle of social proof. In today's digital age, when we encounter a new product, service, or piece of media, our immediate inclination is often to look for reassurance from others. We subconsciously ask, have others found this valuable? Is it worth my time and investment? A high star rating and a collection of positive, authentic reviews serve as powerful social proof, signaling to prospective listeners that Project Daedalus is a worthwhile journey, a valuable exploration of fascinating concepts. Your review acts as a beacon, guiding others through the vast, often overwhelming, sea of available content, helping them to discover a work that might truly resonate with them, just as it resonated with you. Secondly, there's the subtle, yet potent, dynamic of reciprocity. I've endeavored to offer you a detailed, immersive, and inspiring experience with Project Daedalus. In return, a star rating and a review are a simple, yet incredibly meaningful, way for you to reciprocate that effort. It's a gesture of appreciation, a recognition of the time, research, and passion pour. You'll find exclusive blueprints, detailed technical drawings and schematics that illustrate the proposed starship designs, propulsion systems, and habitat modules with a level of visual fidelity impossible to convey through audio alone. Imagine seeing the precise configuration of the fusion engine, the layout of the cryogenic hibernation pods, or the intricate structure of the life support systems. These aren't just pretty pictures, they are visual extensions of the concepts we've discussed, offering a tangible sense of the engineering challenges and triumphs. Even more exciting, perhaps, are the deleted chapters. During the extensive research and writing process for Project Daedalus, countless fascinating avenues were explored, tangents pursued, and detailed analyses undertaken that, for various reasons, whether due to pacing, narrative flow, or sheer length constraints, couldn't be included in the final audiobook. These deleted chapters might delve into alternative propulsion methods not fully explored in the main narrative, offer deeper historical context on specific scientific breakthroughs, or expand upon the sociological implications of a multi-generational interstellar voyage in even greater detail. They are, in essence, previously unreleased dispatches from the front lines of theoretical space exploration, offering fresh perspectives and enriching the existing framework. They are an opportunity to explore the road not taken, to see the vast intellectual landscape that surrounds the core narrative, and to gain an even more profound appreciation for the depth of research underpinning this project. Psychologically, the allure of exclusive content is incredibly powerful. It taps into our innate human desire for scarcity and uniqueness. When something is presented as exclusive or behind the scenes, it immediately imbues it with a higher perceived value. We feel a sense of privilege, a feeling of being part of an inner circle privy to special information. This sense of exclusivity fosters a deeper bond with the material and the creator, strengthening the overall engagement. Furthermore, it directly appeals to our inherent curiosity. The human mind is driven to explore, to uncover hidden truths, and to understand the complete picture. The promise of deleted chapters sparks that investigative spirit, prompting us to wonder what else lies beneath the surface, what additional knowledge awaits discovery. Beyond exclusivity and curiosity, accessing these additional resources reinforces your investment in Project Daedalus. Having spent considerable time listening, the act of seeking out supplementary material demonstrates a genuine interest and commitment, which, in turn, deepens your connection to the subject matter. It's a self-reinforcing cycle of engagement. The more you explore, the more you learn, and the more deeply invested you become. It also caters to different learning styles. Some listeners will find visual blueprints and detailed written analyses to be incredibly clarifying, providing a different dimension to their understanding. So, for the practical application, here's your direct flight plan. Open your web browser and type in authorwebsite.com/Daedalus. It's as simple as that. Once there, navigate through the clear and intuitive layout. You'll easily find sections dedicated to bonus content, blueprints and schematics, or deleted chapters. Take your time to explore. Download the blueprints, print them out if you wish, and study the intricate details. Read through the deleted chapters, allowing yourself to delve deeper into the fascinating tangents and detailed analyses that expand the universe of Project Daedalus. Perhaps there's an interactive forum where you can discuss these very editions with other listeners. You might even discover announcements for future projects, upcoming talks, or opportunities to provide direct feedback. The website is an ongoing resource, perpetually updated, so consider bookmarking it and checking back periodically. It's not just a one-time visit, it's a dynamic portal. Knowing how much you love mention their specific interest, example hard sci-fi/engineering challenges/astronomy, I think you'd really enjoy it. It really got me thinking about mention a specific concept, example the challenges of fusion power for propulsion. Or perhaps an email, if that's more your style, allowing for a bit more detail. I wanted to share something I've been completely absorbed in recently, the audiobook project Daedalus. It meticulously explores the scientific and engineering principles behind building a real interstellar starship. Given your passion for their interest, I have a strong feeling you'd find it utterly captivating. It's truly inspiring to hear the audacious vision for humanity's future in space. Let me know if you end up giving it a listen. I'd love to discuss it with you. Don't underestimate the power of social media, either. A quick post on your platform of choice, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, sharing your enjoyment of Project Daedalus and tagging friends who might be interested, can introduce the book to a much wider circle. You could simply say, just finished Project Daedalus and my mind is absolutely blown by the possibilities of interstellar travel. Highly recommended to anyone who dreams of colonizing other star systems. What a journey! Even a casual mention in conversation, I was just listening to this incredible audiobook about building a starship, and it made me think of you because, can be the perfect icebreaker. Frame it as gifting an experience, as sparking a fascinating conversation, or as providing an answer to a question they didn't even know they had about humanity's future amongst the stars. Remember, you're not just promoting a book, you're connecting someone you know with a world of scientific wonder and inspiring possibilities that you yourself have found deeply enriching. Your personal endorsement is an invaluable bridge, guiding others toward a similar journey of intellectual adventure. So, as we bring our formal narrative journey through Project Daedalus to its close, I want to reiterate the profound significance of your engagement. This is not a mere formality, it is an earnest and heartfelt invitation to extend the life and impact of these ideas. By leaving a star rating and review, you become a guide for future listeners, illuminating their path to discovery. By visiting the author's website, you unlock deeper layers of insight, accessing exclusive content that enriches your understanding and connects you more intimately with the genesis of this grand vision. And by sharing Project Daedalus with those who share your passions, you become an ambassador for scientific curiosity, igniting new conversations and expanding our collective pursuit of the cosmic frontier. Each of these actions, individually and collectively, contributes to a larger tapestry of shared knowledge, collective inspiration, and sustained intellectual exploration. They help to cultivate a community where the audacious spirit of Project Daedalus can continue to thrive, evolve, and inspire. This isn't just about a book, it's about a movement, a mindset, a renewed commitment to exploring the very limits of human potential and pushing the boundaries of what we believe is possible. I am profoundly grateful for your time, your attention, and your willingness to embark on this extraordinary intellectual adventure with me. Your participation, your thoughts, and your enthusiasm are the most valuable dividends of this entire endeavor. The journey to the stars, much like the journey of knowledge, is never truly complete. It is an ongoing process of discovery, refinement, and shared experience. And it is my sincere hope that your journey with Project Daedalus is just beginning. Thank you for listening. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and never stop dreaming of the stars. The universe awaits our ingenuity, and our collective spirit. Until we connect again, may your own projects be as ambitious, as well-researched, and as inspiring as the very vision of Daedalus itself. This is N. That's the detailed star map, guiding potential listeners not just to the existence of Project Daedalus, but to the specific wonders, profound insights, and inspiring narratives it holds. Your words articulate what resonated with you most, what challenged you, what sparked your imagination, offering invaluable perspectives to someone considering whether to embark on this intellectual adventure. It's a testament to your experience, a first-hand account from a fellow traveler. Every single star, every thoughtful sentence, contributes immensely to the visibility and impact of this project. It boosts discoverability, helping the platform algorithms recognize the value and reach a wider audience of curious minds, the next generation of engineers, scientists, and visionaries, who might otherwise never discover the intricate blueprints and boundless aspirations contained within these chapters. More importantly, it provides direct, honest feedback that helps me, as the author, understand what resonated most deeply, what stimulated significant thought, and what perhaps even challenged your understanding. This is a vital, albeit asynchronous, dialogue that helps me refine my craft and ensures future projects are even more compelling, more relevant, and more inspiring. So, whether it's a 5-star commendation for a concept that ignited your imagination, a 4-star rating with constructive feedback on a particular aspect, or even a nuanced 3-star review explaining your perspective, your honest thoughts are treasured and critically important. Taking just a few moments to share your experience is a powerful act of support, an echo of the collective effort and meticulous research that built Daedalus itself. It's your tangible way of saying, this journey was worthwhile, and others should experience it too. It allows the vital conversation around human ingenuity, scientific aspiration, and space exploration to grow, fueled by genuine engagement and shared enthusiasm. Now, for those of you whose curiosity remains utterly insatiable, who crave a deeper, more granular dive into the mechanics, the lore, and the philosophical underpinnings of Daedalus, I've meticulously curated an exclusive repository of supplemental content on my official website, author website URL. Consider this your private mission control, your personal hangar filled not just with additional schematics and classified documents, but with extended narratives and visual marvels. This isn't merely a promotional page, it's an immersive extension of the Daedalus universe, specifically designed to reward your dedication and intellectual hunger, providing avenues for exploration far beyond the spoken word. Here, you'll discover a wealth of material that, by necessity, simply couldn't fit within the audiobook's narrative arc without compromising its carefully calibrated pacing or primary thematic focus. Foremost among these are the exclusive blueprints, incredibly detailed conceptual designs for various Daedalus mission components. We're talking about advanced propulsion systems that push the very boundaries of known physics, intricate life support modules meticulously engineered for multi-generational interstellar travel, and even speculative designs for orbital construction platforms essential for assembling such colossal starships in deep space. You'll find expanded technical specifications that delve into the theoretical physics and engineering challenges, breathtaking artistic renderings that visualize these ambitious machines in stunning, high-resolution detail, and even preliminary engineering diagrams that offer an invaluable glimpse into the iterative, problem-solving design process that shapes such monumental undertakings. These aren't just aesthetically pleasing images, they are tangible, visual manifestations of the very ideas and challenges we've discussed, allowing you to scrutinize the structural integrity of a world ship's immense hull, to trace the complex energy pathways of a fusion torch drive, or to marvel at the modular architecture of an orbital city. Whether it's a direct, heartfelt recommendation to a friend you know loves hard science fiction or factual accounts of space exploration, a thoughtful post on your social media mentioning what captivated you most, or simply discussing a concept from the book with someone during a casual conversation, every single share helps to expand the reach of this collective ambition. Imagine a future where more people are conversant in the complex challenges and breathtaking triumphs of interstellar travel, where the vocabulary of advanced propulsion, astrobiology, and cosmic architecture is not just understood but commonplace, all because you shared a meaningful narrative that challenged and inspired. You become an ambassador for this audacious vision, helping to cultivate a broader appreciation for the monumental endeavors that define our species and propel us forward. Let us together cultivate a world where the spirit of Daedalus thrives, where every mind is encouraged to reach for the stars with unwavering resolve, and where the impossible is merely a challenge awaiting ingenuity, a problem yearning for a solution that we, together, can envision and build. Your recommendation is a vote for that future, a vote for continued exploration, both outward into the cosmos and inward into the depths of human potential. Thank you for listening to this audiobook. If you found value, meaning, or inspiration in this journey, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next chapter. Your support helps us bring more timeless classics to life. See you in the next reading.